Garry Delaney was no stranger to a fight. Born on the 12th of August 1970, he rose through the brutal ranks of British boxing during the 1990s and early 2000s. A powerful and versatile competitor, Mr. Delaney collected an impressive list of titles that spanned several weight divisions. He claimed the British Boxing Board of Control's Southern Area light heavyweight and cruiserweight titles, the WBB light heavyweight title, and the WBO Intercontinental light heavyweight title. He also twice secured the Commonwealth light heavyweight championship, clear proof that Mr. Delaney's hands were not just quick, but devastating. Over his career, Mr. Delaney challenged some of the most respected names in the sport, including Julius Francis for the British and Commonwealth heavyweight belts, and Bruce Scott, Sebastian Rothman, and Enzo Maccarinelli for cruiserweight glory. Whether stepping into the ring at light heavyweight or pushing the limits at heavyweight, Delaney brought raw intensity and unrelenting aggression. His name was known, his reputation established, and his potential seemed limitless. Even as his fighting weight evolved, his grit remained constant. But in October 2005, it all came crashing down. That month, while working as a bouncer at a nightclub, Mr. Delaney was involved in a fatal altercation with a man named Paul Price. During a confrontation, Mr. Delaney struck Price with a single punch. Price fell, his head hitting the pavement with sickening force. Despite undergoing emergency surgery, Price died from the injuries sustained that night. Mr. Delaney was convicted of murder in July 2006 and sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 11 years. The very hands that once earned him belts now left him bound by the law. The fall from prizefighter to convicted killer was swift, and for some, irreversible. Years passed. In prison, Delaney appeared to adjust and respond positively to his sentence. By early 2017, just months after reaching the end of his tariff, he was released on license, a signal, perhaps, that the system believed in the potential for rehabilitation. But that hope was short-lived. In October 2017, Mr. Delaney was recalled to custody after being arrested on suspicion of domestic violence against a woman he had started a relationship with after his release. The allegations were disturbing: a fractured wrist, a perforated eardrum, even claims of urination used to humiliate. Yet no criminal charges were ever brought. The police, unable to secure usable evidence, discontinued any further action. Still, the parole board treated the allegations as significant enough to deny his re-release and reject a recommendation for transfer to open conditions. Despite the absence of a prosecution, and despite Delaney's consistent denial of wrongdoing, his license remained revoked. His liberty, briefly returned, was taken once again. The decision sparked deep concerns about fairness, justice, and the line between allegation and fact. Can a man's freedom be indefinitely withheld based on claims never tested in court? Should a parole panel rely on such claims without scrutiny, even in the case of a convicted murderer? These questions formed the backbone of a powerful legal challenge brought by Mr. Delaney. A judicial review was launched to examine whether the parole board's decision was lawful, whether their reasoning, rooted in suspicion rather than proven conduct, was enough to keep a man behind bars. Now, we're going to look into the appeal, an appeal that would test not only the strength of Mr. Delaney's case, but the very standards by which justice is measured when liberty hangs in the balance. In the corridors of British justice, few cases raise as many difficult questions as that of Garry Delaney, a convicted murderer, a man once immersed in the violent world of door security, and a figure whose journey through the criminal justice system continues to provoke fierce debate. Mr. Delaney's conviction stemmed from a tragic night in October 2005, when a single, devastating punch delivered while working as a doorman ended a man's life. For that, he was handed a life sentence. But this story does not end behind prison walls. Fast forward more than a decade, and Mr. Delaney's trajectory takes an unexpected turn. After serving his time and being released on license in early 2017, he appeared to be progressing until a disturbing series of events brought him crashing back into the penal system. Arrested just months later, following allegations of domestic violence involving a new partner, accusations that included a fractured wrist, a perforated eardrum, and even a claim he urinated on her. Mr. Delaney was recalled to custody. However, no charges were ever brought. The parole board still deemed the allegations serious enough to block his re-release. But here's where things get murky. The board chose not to make any factual determination on the truth of the allegations, yet still concluded that Mr. Delaney posed an unmanageable risk. This led to the denial of both his release and his transfer to open conditions, despite favourable reports from his supervising officers. Was this a miscarriage of process? Did the board lean too heavily on unproven accusations? Or was this a justifiable precaution, given the disturbing nature of the claims? As this case was brought before the High Court for judicial review, fundamental questions were raised, not just about Garry Delaney's risk to the public, but about how justice is administered when allegations fall into a legal grey zone, allegations with no prosecution, no conviction, and yet consequences as if they were fact. To understand how this all unfolded and whether justice was truly served, you'll need to follow this gripping legal battle to its conclusion. What was ultimately decided may not only impact Mr. Delaney's future, but could also set a precedent for how parole boards across the country handle similar cases. Stay with us. The outcome may surprise you. The claimant, Garry Delaney, is a lifer. He was convicted of a murder and sentenced to a mandatory life sentence in July 2006. The murder was committed in October 2005 when Mr. Delaney, who had had something of a career in boxing, was working as door security. He assaulted a patron by a sufficiently violent punch that the jury was sure he had intended really serious injury, and tragically his victim fell backwards, striking his head on the ground, resulting in death. Mr. Delaney's minimum term was set at 11 years, less time served on remand, with the result that he became eligible to be considered for release from October 2016. It is possible to infer that Mr. Delaney, stating this in general terms, must have responded well to custody, and the evidence before the court, such as it is in relation to his time in custody, seems to confirm that. It is possible to infer that in general terms anyway, from the very fact that he was released on licence as quickly as in February 2017, only 4 months after the expiry of his tariff. The matter now comes before the court because in late October 2017, Mr. Delaney's licence was revoked. He was recalled to custody following his arrest on 29th October 2017 on suspicion of a series of incidents of domestic violence against a woman with whom he had struck up a relationship following his release. The allegations were of a relatively serious nature, including allegations that there had been a wrist fracture, a perforated eardrum, and an act of urinating on the complainant. Mr. Delaney challenges, with permission granted on the papers, the decision letter dated the 18th of June 2018, by which a panel of the parole board concluded that it would not direct that he be re-released on licence, and it would not recommend that he be transferred to open conditions. Mr. Gardner, who appears today for Mr. Delaney in most helpful and succinct submissions, puts the case for Mr. Delaney as follows. Firstly, and principally, the parole board has adopted a Wensbury unreasonable conclusion as to the risks Mr. Delaney poses if re-released. That conclusion, Mr. Gardner submits, and I agree, fundamentally infects the entirety of the decision. Letter, if it was a flawed conclusion, that is because, in substance, the sole effective basis of the conclusion that Mr. Delaney should not be re-released is that the risks the panel concluded that he would present if re-released were unacceptably high. In addition, the overwhelming factor in the balance when considering whether to recommend transfer to open conditions was, in the view of the panel, those same risks, which the panel concluded were such as could not at present be safely managed under open conditions. Secondly, the decision letter betrays an unlawfully inadequate set of reasons for the conclusion as to risks reached. In reality, as it seems to me, there is nothing in this second ground if the first ground is not made out. The valid challenge to this decision letter as regards the assessment of risks, if there be a valid basis for challenge, is that the reasons for the conclusion as to risk given by the panel do not lawfully justify the conclusion reached, rather than that one cannot discern sufficiently from the decision letter what those reasons were in the first place. Thirdly, as a separate and independent ground of challenge to the decision not to recommend a transfer to open conditions, the parole board panel has, in that regard, in effect, leapt from its conclusion as to risks, which Mr. Gardner rightly accepts is one factor to which the panel must have regard, to the conclusion that a transfer to open conditions cannot be recommended. That conclusion, it is said, was reached without pausing between the two to consider other factors that the parole board, under the applicable standing directions, was obliged to consider. The submission, as a result, is that in substance the panel has not conducted a balancing exercise at all, that being the type of exercise required in respect of a consideration whether to recommend transfer to open conditions. It has, so it is said, wrongly adopted an approach that the threshold assessment of risk, even if it is not itself a flawed assessment, is sufficient without more to preclude any recommendation for open conditions. In relation to the panel's assessment of the risks Mr. Delaney would present if re-released, the panel summarized in the decision letter the circumstances reported to the police resulting in Mr. Delaney's arrest on suspicion of domestic violence. As I have already mentioned, it took evidence from D.S. Fuller, the officer in charge of the possible new criminal case against Mr. Delaney that might have arisen out of those allegations. The key passages in the decision letter, displaying the parole board panel's assessment of the matter and its reasoning, were then as follows. Although the initial complaints had been recorded through the body-worn video system when police originally attended the house on 29th September, as Mr. Fuller put it, through no lack of trying, the police were unable to obtain any evidence which could be satisfactorily used in court, and as a result the decision not to proceed had to be taken. He told the panel that there were reasonable grounds for believing that you had been guilty of violent offending. Having heard his evidence and seen the documents, the panel has little doubt that that was correct. Mr. Fuller told the panel that in the police view there was truth in the allegations made against you, but the police have been unable to prove them. He also said that in his view, if in the community you would pose a serious risk of violence to the complainant if there was any resumption of your relationship with her and give rise to high risk. The panel was impressed by Mr. Fuller's careful and measured evidence and accepts it. It is clear that the concession as to the reasonableness of the recall was sensible, and, it could be said, inevitable. You denied use of any violence. You said that you could only remember the events of the night when the police were called, 29th October. You accepted that there had been much drinking and told the panel that the complainant would get boisterous and erratic after drinking. You agreed that you had heated arguments with her, but said that you had never lifted a finger to her. Your denial was unconvincing. The panel does not seek to make a finding of fact as to what happened between you and her, but it is clear that the original complaints to the police may, well, have been true, and that you pose a real risk of violence in an intimate relationship. The panel's approach, that is to say, was not to make any finding as to what had actually happened, but nonetheless to treat the fact that the allegation denied by Mr. Delaney had been made against him as, in itself, a matter from which it could conclude that there was real risk. This approach found repetition when the panel, under the heading of current risks, reviewed the recommendations of both Mr. Delaney's offender supervisor and his offender manager in their evidence that he be re-released, albeit subject to carefully considered conditions. Referring to Mr. Delaney's offender manager, Miss Berry, the panel said as follows: Miss Berry assesses your risks of serious harm in the community as high to the public and to known adults. She said, and the panel agrees, that the allegations which lead to your recall had increased your risks. The most prominent problem appears to be your lack of emotional regulation and anger management. Your reported conduct towards the complainant is, in that sense, offence paralleling and needs to be addressed on a one-to-one basis, which in her view could be undertaken on release to approved premises, which she recommends. However, she accepts that there are real prospects that if released, you and Joanne would get together quickly, and that would create imminent risk. My emphasis. To be fair to the panel, it also referred in that current risks section of the decision letter to a somewhat emotional reaction. It may be overreaction, displaying some anger that Mr. Delaney displayed in relation to an unrelated aspect of his factual circumstances when that was explored with him at the hearing. There is, however, no indication in the decision letter that that flashpoint within the hearing would have been sufficient on its own to cause the panel to reach the conclusions that it did concerning the risks of violence it decided that Mr. Delaney posed. Mr. Gardner advances the proposition, in my judgment a sound proposition, that the fact of an allegation of violence against a lifer on licence cannot properly, in itself, found a conclusion that he presents any particular type or degree of risk of being violent. That is ultimately for the simple and sound reason that an allegation is just an allegation. That would be true, indeed, even if the allegation led to a charge and a pending prosecution. In this case, for the reason articulated by the panel at paragraph 14 of its decision, there never was any prosecution, let alone any active prosecution pending when the panel was considering the matter. Whilst the evidence before me, perhaps, does not pin this detail down fully, my reading of both the decision letter and the evidence I have, such as it is, suggests it is more likely than not that Mr. Delaney was never even charged, rather that the sequence of events was one of complaint, arrest, recall to custody, which in itself is not challenged, and then some 6 weeks or so later, a decision by the police simply to take no further action. Mr. Gardner cites for his proposition, which I have accepted, 3 decisions of this court. Broadbent v. the Parole Board of England and Wales, 2005, E.W.H. C. 1207, admin, especially at 26 to 29. R.J. v. the Parole Board, 2010, E.W.H.C. 919, admin, especially at 48, and R. McHale v. the Secretary of State for Justice, 2010, E.W.H.C. 3657, admin, especially at 16. In my judgment, Mr. Gardner is correct not only as to the proposition of law that he advances, but also that on the facts of this case, the Parole Board panel has not identified, or in reality even attempted to identify, what other than the fact of the allegation it thought justified the conclusion it reached as to risk. To the contrary, and most startling in its agreement with Miss Berry's assessment of risk, to which I have already referred at paragraph 20 of the decision letter, the panel endorsed the notion she advanced that the allegations which led to your recall have increased your risks. Mr. Gardner accepts, not least in the light of passages in the judgments of the court to which I have just referred, that the Parole Board is not required in law in every case to consider making, or actually to make, any finding of fact that acts of further violence have been committed, in order to justify a finding that the lifer in question does present some identifiable, specific, and present risk of violence. However, in my judgment, he is correct to submit that if, as in the present case, there is nothing in the undisputed facts surrounding the allegations to justify that conclusion, then the panel cannot rely simply on the fact, nature, or seriousness of the allegation as leading to any conclusion one way or the other. In such a case as the present, the panel must in reality either disregard the allegation as being so far as it can see no more than an allegation, or undertake an investigation and consideration of any evidence that may be presented to it of the conduct of the offender, enabling it to make at least some findings of fact as to what did happen, by reference to which, as a factual basis for any conclusions, it might then consider the question of risk. The starkness of the decision letter, in its express decision not to make any relevant finding, but to go no further than a conclusion that there may have been truth in the allegations, but then equally there may have been none, and its flawed logic that the allegations led to an increase in risks means it is impossible to say whether, and the argument on this judicial review has not considered this in any detail. There was before the panel evidence it was entitled to treat as admissible sufficient to enable it to make findings about Mr. Delaney's behaviour that might have justified the conclusions as to risk it reached. It suffices for the purposes of this judicial review to say that the starkness of the erroneous approach of the panel in this decision letter means that the decision letter must be and will be quashed. In those circumstances, it is not necessary for me to consider in detail the separate decision within the letter whether to recommend a transfer to open conditions. As I indicated at the outset, whether or not that aspect of the decision letter is susceptible independently of challenge by reference to the approach the panel ought to have taken to that type of decision on any view the decision actually made was overwhelmingly influenced by the assessment of the risk posed by Mr. Delaney, and I have now held that to have been a flawed assessment by reference to R. Hill v. the Parole Board, 2012, EWHC 809, Admin, R. Hutt v. the Parole Board, 2018, EWH C141, Admin, and the applicable directions to the Parole Board under Section 32.6 of the Criminal Justice Act, 1991. Mr. Gardner submits, correctly in my judgment, that the question of whether to recommend the transfer of a lifer to open conditions is different in kind to the question whether to direct his release. In particular, the directions require the Parole Board to take four main factors into account in an evaluation of the risks of transfer against its benefits, hence the reference to this type of decision as a balancing exercise, not merely an assessment of a threshold condition, such as applies to the question whether the lifer poses a sufficiently low level of risk to the public that it is no longer necessary that he be confined. The four factors that must be taken into account, set out at paragraph 5 of the Parole Board directions, are the extent to which the lifer has made sufficient progress during sentence in addressing and reducing risk to a level consistent with protecting the public from harm in circumstances where the lifer in open conditions would be in the community, unsupervised, under licensed temporary release, the extent to which the lifer is likely to comply with the conditions of any such form of temporary release, the extent to which the lifer is considered trustworthy enough not to abscond, the extent to which the lifer is likely to derive benefit from being able to address areas of concern and to be tested in a more realistic environment, such as to suggest that a transfer to open conditions is worthwhile at that stage. In R. Hill v. the Parole Board panel appears not to have adverted at all to, and therefore, on the face of things, seems not to have appreciated the existence of the separate balancing exercise to be undertaken, different in kind, to the consideration of the simple threshold issue for a release. In R. Hutt v. the Parole Board panel appears to have adverted to, and therefore, on the face of things, recognized the existence of the separate test and its different nature, but then proceeded to give it no consideration. It is not clear to me that this is so stark a case as either of those. In the decision letter in this case, the Parole Board panel did identify and state in acceptable terms the two different tests it would be called upon to consider. The panel is empowered to direct your release if the evidence demonstrates that your risks have reduced to the point at which it is no longer necessary for the protection of the public that you should continue to be detained in prison. If that point is not reached, then the panel may recommend your transfer to open prison if, after carrying out a balanced consideration of your risks to the public and the benefits of progressing your rehabilitation into the community and of any risks that you might abscond, the panel concludes that your risks can safely be managed in open conditions. Mr. Gardner is right to submit that the consideration of and application of the separate test for whether Mr. Delaney's transfer to open conditions should be considered was very brief. He is also right to observe that it is contained within the single paragraph under the heading Conclusion, with which the panel completed its work. In that paragraph, the panel reiterated its conclusion, clear from its preceding discussion of Mr. Delaney's case, that the risks of violence were too high to justify release, having not reduced to the point at which it is no longer necessary for protection of the public that you should be detained in prison. That, as I have said, is a flawed conclusion by reference to Mr. Gardner's primary ground of challenge that I have upheld. The concluding paragraph continued, "Those risks could not at present be safely managed in open conditions. In such conditions, it is highly likely that you would again be in contact with the complainant, would seek to see her during a leave, and would thus create the same risks as on release. There is a further risk to members of your family with whom you are deeply angry. Accordingly, for the reasons set out above, the panel has concluded that it should not direct your release and should not recommend to the Secretary of State that you be transferred to open prison." It involves the drawing of an inference against the parole board to say that because of the brevity of that final statement, the panel overlooked or failed properly to apply the separate balancing exercise test it had identified at the outset of the decision letter when coming to make its decision as to transfer. As it seems to me, the better reading of the letter is that it is implicit in the reference in that brief conclusion to open conditions, and the focus the panel therefore had on the management of risks in those conditions, that it had well in mind. In effect, it was taking as read in Mr. Delaney's favour as applicant for transfer considerations of his likelihood of complying with conditions, his trustworthiness in relation to absconding, and the likelihood that he, for his part, would derive benefit from being in open conditions. On a relatively fine balance, therefore, for undoubtedly it would have been better for the reasoning to be more fully articulated, I would not conclude that the parole board panel erred in the decision not to recommend transfer to open conditions by failing to conduct any proper balancing exercise, as is the ground of challenge raised in relation to that decision. As it seems to me, on that fine balance, the better reading of the decision letter is that the panel was well aware of the balancing exercise that was required to be undertaken, and well aware of the matters that went in Mr. Delaney's favour in that exercise. However, upon its assessment of the risks he presented, they outweighed, indeed overwhelmed, those factors in his favour. The need to protect, in particular, the domestic violence complainant, and also to some extent members of Mr. Delaney's own family, as assessed by the panel, were sufficiently great and imminent as to overwhelm the other factors in the balancing exercise. Had the assessment of those risks itself been sound, it would not have been appropriate to uphold a challenge to the final part of the decision by which the requested recommendation for a transfer to open conditions was refused. As it is, however, that assessment of risks was fundamentally flawed, and all parts of the decision were affected by that flawed assessment. For those reasons, this claim succeeds. The parole board decision of the 18th of June 2018 must be quashed, and subject it may be to assistance from Mr. Gardner as to a precise form of words, I am minded to direct that a differently constituted parole board panel rehear the 2018 parole review of Mr. Delaney's case as soon as possible. The appeal launched by Garry Delaney wasn't just a legal technicality, it was a direct challenge to the integrity of the parole process. His legal team, led by Mr. Gardner, argued that the parole board had failed in one of its most fundamental duties, to assess risk based on facts, not fear. At the heart of the matter was a simple but powerful argument. Allegations alone, especially when unsupported by criminal charges or convictions, cannot lawfully justify denying a man his freedom. And the court agreed. Mr. Justice Andrew Baker, in a scathing and forensic dismantling of the parole board's reasoning, made it clear, relying on the mere existence of an unproven accusation to conclude that someone poses a high risk is not just flawed, it is unlawful. The board had not conducted any proper investigation into the facts. It had made no findings about what actually happened. Yet, It had allowed the shadow of allegation to carry the full weight of a proven threat. Even more troubling was the board's failure to properly consider the possibility of transferring Delaney to open conditions. According to law, that decision required a balancing act, weighing the risks against the rehabilitative benefits. But the parole board's judgment offered no real evidence of such a balance, just a reiteration of risk, as though that alone was enough to slam the door shut. The decision was quashed, a new panel was ordered, and with that, Garry Delaney's case was thrown back into the spotlight, not just as the story of one man's fight for release, but as a reflection of deeper flaws within a system that holds immense power over people's futures. So now the questions are yours to answer. Can we accept a justice system that allows life-changing decisions to be based on allegations never tested in court? How should parole boards weigh the rights of the convicted against the fears of the state? And perhaps most crucially, when a person has served their time, responded well in custody, and abides by the rules, what should it really take to earn back freedom? Garry Delaney's story isn't just about a boxer, a crime, or an appeal. It's about the fight for fair process in a system where the stakes are nothing less than a person's liberty. What do you think?
Heavyweight contest of 6 3-minute rounds. West Ham's Garry Delaney, David Hay.
Defend yourself all times. Shake hands and best of luck.
There's some 10 years between these 41 professional contests to Hayes 12, and we saw Hayes start something like this against Carl Thompson, and then it all went desperate. Well, Garry Delaney is carrying a pound or two. He tells me that he's the old 6 o'clock in the morning 5 or 6 mile runs. I'm not sure how
big punches, because you know he will take a clip on the chin, and at 2 stone weight, sure, you know, I believe in there's no substitute for getting up.
And cruiserweight, perhaps when he was at his very peak, was perhaps his best weight.
You know, okay at the minute, he doesn't look terribly gun shy.
Hayes' reflexes are so good that he spotted that and immediately he pounced.
Because obviously against the bigger man, the genetic mixer.
Looks nice and relaxed, Hay.
Oh, I'm not so sure about mixing it up with a genuine.
One thing that Garry Delaney has never lacked is courage, even though he was good old pro Delaney. Didn't complain, didn't do a thing, said to Hay, come on. Fights before Christmas, 1 November, 1 in December, so he hasn't exactly read and shook his head there. That got through. Clever work by Hay round the corner.
To try and confuse Delaney.
Well, Delaney's box
naturally more athletic than Delaney.
David Hay, he hasn't really tried to bomb the man out. He's just picking his time
and maul him and just mess him around. There's a psychological bit from David Hay, you know, not sitting down.
Eyelid round the corner by Hay. That's a lovely variation. Pumping like an old rhino.
Delaney's just that much bigger. He can bully Hale.
That's good work by Hale. That's lovely stuff by Hay. I think he probably is. Hay going for the uppercut. 8.5 stones, which is just about the heaviest he's ever.
Take any chances, take nothing for granted.
Well, no. Good shot. What up for the face of the great West Ham supporter. Hay really now is.
Considering this guy's 2 stone heavier, that'll tell you how much.
Little short chopping right hand travelled maybe inside the distance. He teed him up beautifully, and that was an side that Garry Delaney doesn't need anymore. And David Hay has come back with a vengeance.
I'm going to be a lot more measured and calculated, obviously, as you said. I knew he was tough, he was strong, and every time I hit him, I've obviously got to address that, and I have done in the gym. And
over 12 rounds each of 3 minutes duration for the WBO Pentacontinental Light Heavyweight Championship. Your judges for the contest: Paul Thomas of Derby, Dave Paris of London, Roy Francis of Kent, and your WBO supervisor in charge, Thomas Hogan of El Paso in Texas. Your timekeeper, Ray Rice of Morden, and when the bell rings and the action begins, your referee, Larry O'Connell from Kent. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting and introducing in the red corner, with the black shorts, with 17 wins, 1 draw from 24 contests, 13 inside the distance from South Africa, the challenger for the title, Jim Murray. Ladies and gentlemen, his opponent in the blue corner with the familiar white claret and blue shorts, 14 wins and 1 draw from 15 contests, 9 inside the distance, the reigning WBO Continental Light Heavyweight Champion from West Ham, Garry, the Hammer,
Intimidating atmosphere for the South African to face this.
And the weighing today, Jim Murray scale 12 stone 2 3/4 pounds, Garry Delaney 12 stone 6.5 pounds. 12 3-minute rounds of boxing. I thank you.
So that's what it's all about, the Pentacontinental belt. I know that Mike Siegel, who's Jim Murray's promoter out in South Africa. Mike will be watching this. Mike, hope you enjoy the fight. Hope it goes well for you. You never know. Could be taking another title back to South Africa, like you did with baby Jake McLaren from Glasgow. Larry O'Connell is the referee. We have 12 rounds. This is the first.
This is one of the only times that Delaney has had to fight somebody as tall as him and even taller. And this guy's got 3/4 of his wins have come inside the distance, so there's no doubt that he can really bang.
And if you look at Jim Murray's torso, superb muscle definition, looks really fit for this.
Yeah, he's a very strong looking guy, very stiff as well, but seems to have lots of rigidity in those punches. Rigid, stiff and upright, but they're wicked looking right hands. So Delaney's got to be careful. We have said in the past that he's slow, and he is sometimes a bit methodical.
Right out of my mouth. He's not the best starter in the world.
He's using his jab better in his last couple of contests. The jab's working well. And he can use the jab. He's a big guy, and he has never used it to great advantage.
Hello, we've got a bit of trouble with the right glove.
It's just
the wristbands come up.
That's all.
And Larry O'Connell slides it back down again.
This guy's a stiff puncher. He's very orthodox, and Delaney can keep his head out of the way, but he's got to be careful. He's throwing that lazy jab again, Delaney. And he come over the top of it, Murray can really hurt him. He's a powerful big guy. That's why he's just got to tuck his head down.
Delaney's big punch, the left hook. Remember that left hook? He took Gil Lewis out at Crystal Palace. One of the knockouts we've seen on Pro Box. Sensational shot.
His right hand isn't better, is getting better as well. The last few times I've watched him, he can bang. He's been nailed himself with a good right hand. Murray's got through with a good shot right there. See where Delaney's going hunting again. He's looking for that big shot.
Now I can see a little bit of blood on Delaney's trunks, and that's coming from the South African's left eye. Murray cut, round 1, left eye.
Above the eye too, on the eyebrow. Things were clashing a few times when they got close there, Dave. He's taking
Larry O'Connell talking and saying, watch the heads, boys. This is good refereeing. It's a title fight. We want it to go the full 12. And already just a few feet to my right, the South African corner getting geared up to attend to that left eye. Oh, good left hook from Murray. Oh, that was a good shot. That was right on the money.
He punched powerfully. Delaney's got to be careful here. Already there's a lump coming under Delaney's right eye. This guy can wall up, there's no question about that, and Delaney's been a wee bit lackluster with his defence. He's got to tighten up and not to get nailed with that left hook that hit him right at the end. Look at the way that it's below that right eye is becoming red and lumpy. You just see it at the end here. Tried a right hand and left his head there. Much more he come back.
That was a good shot.
Cracking shot.
Good shot.
He's He's got to be careful. He's got to be careful, Delaney, with this guy. He can really whack.
Quick word about the scoring in this fight. We have 3 ringside judges, all of them from Great Britain: Paul Thomas, Dave Paris and Roy Francis. They will score 10 rounds, 10 points I should say, to the winner of a round, 9 or 8 if there's a knockdown to the loser. Larry O'Connell, referees only, does not score, and mandatory 8 count in operation should that be required. Now, hang on, a time out here. They're putting some tape. This is a little bit of the old Madam list. They should have done that during the break, not after.
Taking a bit of extra time there.
Oh, well, that's a little bit cute.
A bit of gamesmanship.
Yes.
Yes, to be
Do
expected.
anything if you can get away with it. Larry O'Connell tells him to box on. We're in round 2. No, he's seen something he doesn't like. Rings the bell. In fact, he declares that a full start to the round. We start now.
This is the sort of guy that's going to give Delaney trouble. Someone who's a stiff guy, stand up straight, and is a very correct hitter, but is quick. And there's no doubt that Murray is quick. Delaney's got to be sharper than this. He's getting caught himself a bit. And this guy can wallop, and he's got to be careful. Got to get his shots off quicker, and he should use that jab more. He can outbox this guy.
Yeah, Delaney's got a good jab. Very successful amateur, and with the left jab to prove it. But like I said, watch for the left hook. The South African's right, or left eye doesn't look too bright. That was the left hook, and it caught Murray, and it hurt him.
Yeah, he already looked shaky, but he hit him. The best shot he hit him was a left hook to the body.
The eye is clearly troubling Jim Murray.
Yeah, but he's cranking up that right hand again. See that? And he's waiting for Delaney to walk onto him, and he almost walked onto it again.
They haven't been able to do much in the corner with that left eye in the inter-round. It didn't look that bad, but maybe it's a lot deeper than it looks, because it's starting to bleed again.
Well, as I've said many times before, they won't stop it in the round straight after it was cut. It takes a bit longer than that. He mightn't have much longer the way Delaney's punching here. Again,
Puncher.
Again, Delaney could be sharper and snappier than that. He's a bit slow.
Looking a bit of a mess now.
That long left hand of Delaney's can do wonders for him here, but he's not using it.
And a little bit of puffiness around Delaney's right eye now. And I'm pretty sure that's caused by heads. They're getting dangerously close.
You can almost see Murray sit down on his punches here before he throws. You can actually see him just bend at the knees before he throws that right hand. It's a real giveaway, and Delaney's still being caught. Just needs to be a bit sharper here, Delaney. See that? Straight over his head. Just got to tuck those knees down, bend the head down, let it swing right over his head, and then come back with his own counter. Just got to be a bit quicker. A bit messy.
Delaney, I think, fancies this, decides that he's seen what he wants to see. He's left it late in this round, though. We're in the second, remember.
Hasn't landed. Delaney hasn't landed enough clean punches yet. He's actually killing his own good work. He's getting up too close to Murray, and he's not getting his punches off quickly enough. And when he does get them off, there's no real leverage in them, and it's taking the power away from him. But definitely fought better in that round, and Murray's having...
I'm watching the South African corner work, you know, Barry. It's desperately slow.
Yeah. Some good work here from Delaney in this round. Tried the right hand in particular, missed with the right, but the left hook actually worked. It's the body shot that's actually better. It's the one up the middle. And this is the one. You see it here? No.
I was watching the corner there. Instead of holding the cotton bud soaked in the adrenaline solution on the cup, they were wiping the cotton And that's just not the way to do it. That's just wrong.
Pinch it, hold it, squeeze that flesh on either side of it. Now, Larry O'Connell's giving him a telling off. Watch your heads, guys, I said.
Round 3, Delaney, the champion from England in white. Challenger Murray from South Africa, originally from Scotland, but domiciled in South Africa now. He's in the black trunks.
That's better work from Delaney. Just put a bit of snap into his work. Left jab's good, body shots are good. Just got to throw them from a bit further out. Keep his head rolling like that. That's good stuff. Oh, good right hand. Look at that right hand. Beautiful shot there, right above our heads.
Murray, as you say, head jerked back as he was penned on the ropes there. And the eye, once again, is bleeding. Corner, I have to say, are not doing a good job on that eye.
They're not going to stop the cut by patting it with the adrenaline pad. They've got to pinch
which is
it
what they were doing.
tight.
You can see her behind, far side of the ring, looking on impassively.
Oh, good left hook. Delaney, he's looking more impressive every time when he opens up. Just got to learn to keep his distance a bit more. He's crowding his own good work. Got to stay at bay and crack those combinations in.
Yeah, it takes him a couple of rounds to get going, but boy, when he does get going, it's worth waiting for.
This is where he should be. When he makes Murray miss like that, he should be coming back with his own left hook and right hands.
Larry O'Connell's shirt speckled with Murray's blood now. And in the third, doubtful whether this can go the full 12.
Yeah, that cut looks bad, but Delaney, I think, more impressively, is getting close to him and he's really hurting him.
Fairly stiff puncher. I don't think Murray has got really too much to trouble Delaney with. Delaney in the first round took a left hook right on the button, just made him blink, nothing more. And he has hurt Murray.
Yeah, many times. Murray is very one-paced, very predictable, does the same thing over and over again. And Delaney has found him out. He's just finding it difficult to get the actual range in his punches, but he's closing it down all the time, and he's hurt Murray a lot in this round.
Yes, Murray frankly looking a bit of a mess now. Delaney goes back to Freddie King, son Jason outside the ropes. Done a good job, Freddie King. Just bringing Delaney along very gently, very slowly, nothing dramatic, turning him into a very, very useful fighter. He's still only young, still only 23 years of age. Now, you see, look at this. You see, they're wiping it. That's not what you do. That's just simply bad corner work. Sorry to have to say it.
That's terrible. They put a little Vaseline on already. That's stupid. They should be holding that cut. The referee's saying something to him. Don't be holding when you're on the inside. That's very poor corner work. Very unprofessional. You've got to pinch that cut and hold it. This pattern is absolutely useless. It's not working at all.
You dry it, you whack the adrenaline on, you pinch it tight as you can, and then when you hear somebody say 10 seconds, you go whack on a great big gob of Vaseline, and off you go again.
I've taught you well here.
There you go. Guide to corner work.
Oh, the right hand. There you go.
Got him.
That's the start of it now. Delaney's a good finisher.
And the South African's legs are very wobbly. In comes Delaney. Big overarm right. Just a little control now. A little control.
Got to hold it
Finish
together
this.
now. It's far better when you do it neat, Garry. You can't fall in like this and walk on to punches. Got to learn that keeping out his ranges, he's looking much more impressive. Got to stay out on his... Oh, a good right hand from Jim Murray. He's still punching with power there.
Murray looking so apprehensive as Delaney comes in. He knows he can be hurt. Delaney dodges them with ease, contempt almost. Long way to go this round, just a minute gone. Good leg hook. Didn't travel more than 12 inches, that.
I feel sure that if he threw 3 long-range punches, he could knock this guy out.
He's all over the place, Murray. He really is. As you say, Barry.
That right hand, Dave, all the
Yeah.
same.
You
Punching
said
with
it.
power.
But you're quite right. A couple of good measuring up shots. Set him up, we'll finish it.
See what he's doing? He's getting in close, and Murray's just pulling him down and turning him around, spoiling his own good work. Every one of these punches that have hurt Murray have landed from a good distance. This is where Garry Delaney does his best work, and he's got to learn to keep that distance between him and his opponent. At the moment, he's let his opportunity slip here. Murray seems to have recouped and shaken the cobwebs. He's come back. Delaney again measuring for that big right hand, looking for the deadener, as we say.
Oh, that was a terrible clash of heads.
Race of him.
Oh, that was awful. Oh, my goodness. I felt that.
Two stags banging their heads together.
Well, if Delaney has come out of that unscathed, it can't have done Murray's injured eye any good at all. I think that's just about the loudest clash of heads I've ever heard.
Really loud. Sickening. Smack them together. Delaney's he's winding his punches up. He's showing them too much. He's not getting them off. Should try and let him flow. Got to loosen up here. Good right hand. Look at that. That's really impressive there when he lands that shot. 1-2 like lightning. Why isn't he doing more of that?
Oh, the left hook.
That hook to the body's beautiful too. Great attacks. Why doesn't he do more of this, David? So impressive looking. And Murray all over the shop. Just at the end, he staggers back to the corner. He's all out on his feet, this kid.
Yes,
badly shaken.
he's taking a real beating now.
Absolutely been beaten up here. That crack of heads was unbelievable. We're against the far right-hand ropes, and you can't hear it in slow motion, but we could hear it, I can tell you.
That was, well, they were
Lucky
both
for
very
Delaney that his
lucky.
head was down that far. See another clash of it here, watch. Oh boy, that was sickening. Everybody in the hall went.
Yes, they heard that right up in the balcony. My goodness. Oh, the eye, a sorry state.
He needs to sack his cuts, man, I'm afraid.
Round 1.
So Delaney has won all 4 completed rounds, certainly on my card. I don't think there can be too many arguments about that scoring. Any early cold starting problems completely overcome from Delaney's viewpoint now. Firing smoothly, boxing well.
It's a good jab, it's a beautiful jab. You see, he doesn't need to get mixed up in his brawls and get hurt.
Well, that's right. And if you're opening the opponent up with a jab, the openings will come for you, the opportunities will arise.
It's the bread and butter punch. It opens
That's
up
right.
for every one of those right hands, left hooks, counters, everything.
Absolutely right.
Every
there.
time that Delaney works that jab, all his combinations fall into place.
He doesn't really need to get involved in the war, because I feel sure that if he just goes on boxing like this, Larry O'Connell might give Murray another 2-3 rounds perhaps. Don't think he'd let him go the trip.
Still dangerous with that right hand. That's the last thing he lose before this fight's end for him, and it looks like it's going to end pretty soon. But he'll always have that dangerous right hand right up to the last bell. Oh, badly shaken. He's got lots of time to finish him. He's got to do this coolly and collectively.
Just a little bit of control from Delaney, and he can finish this in this round. Beautiful left-right combination, or right-left to be accurate.
It's good the way Delaney is rolling his head there, slipping underneath those shots, taking nothing, just keeping the guy off him. Just keep the distance between him, and that right hand or left hook will do the trick. Don't get careless.
And Murray looking ever increasingly beaten by that. Oh,
Good right hand again.
what a good shot that
Look at
was.
Murray's legs.
What a
Badly
good shot.
shaken. Oh, left hook again from Delaney. Beautiful shot right hand.
A little bit of control, Delaney.
15 seconds to go in this round. Murray might be able to get through it again.
I'm not quite sure what that was about.
I think the referee made a mistake. He thought it was Murray's gum shield. Oh, left hook to the body.
Murray, that's hurt him. He's almost bent double. The end surely can't be too far now. Well, what can you say?
Yeah, there's little left in Jim Murray. His corner might take a compassionate view of this and pull him out of here.
I'll go that to Delaney at 10-8 round. Took an awful beating, did Murray.
Yeah, well, I've stopped scoring 2 rounds back, so that's the way I think it's coming. Here's this right hand, and watch Murray's head when this right hand hits him. Snaps his head right round, bang! Oh, what a right hand! Absolute corker. See near the end of the round here again. Right hand and left hook. There's no doubt that when this guy can get his distance in his punches and get his opponent at a distance, he is a world-class puncher. No question about that.
Well, he's just in the goal and getting better. Still only 23 years of age. He's got a very, very promising career ahead of him. And Murray caught him in the early round, and they showed he can take a decent shot, did Delaney. We're in the round 6 now. Just moving inexorably forward.
There aren't many big white light heavyweights like this that can really fight and punch, and this is what makes this guy so attractive and so saleable. He's one of the up-and-coming young kids.
And he sells tickets.
He's got a great following. Carries the old sleeping pill, and particularly the left hook. That right hand's got a bit of power to it.
Body
He's breaking
shot.
Murray up around the body, isn't he, Dave? Just folding him up.
And Delaney really now hitting him at will. And Murray scarcely has anything by way of reply.
Delaney's doing a good thing. He's banging him to the body here, and obviously in a ploy to get his hands down. Try and nail him with a good chopping shot to the head. Oh yeah, pause with that right hand. He's going to throw it and then pause. Looking for the big punch again, Gary. You can see it. Just looking for it. Shouldn't be going looking for it.
One thing he must guard against, Delaney, is frustration at the fact that his opponent is still there.
Yeah, and he's given Murray sort of temporary respite in this round. He's allowed him to get his wind again, stop the onslaught. He needs to step it up again now. He's given him enough rest.
Well, Murray really fighting with bravery over and above the call of duty. He's taking some awful stick. But sadly, from his viewpoint, not quite enough to enable Larry O'Connell to stop it.
Yeah, I feel that 3 or 4 cleanly landed punches from Delaney could end this fight, but he's not landing any more than 1 or 2 at a time. Not putting his usual combinations together. He's getting wouldn't have been frustrated.
Oh, good right hand. What a corker of a shot that was.
Can take a shot.
Still there.
And again, Delaney landing it, showing it and landing it.
You think he may have left it a little bit too late? He has. Well, I think we can safely say, Barry, that Jim Murray can take a shot.
Yeah, he sure can. I wondered how those defeats had come, but he's proven here he's a tough guy, taking some fabulous punches. Right hand from Delaney again here, just snapped his head around. Look at that for a right hand. It's a quality punch. And you see it again here, stepped up on top of him, measured him with the left, and just snapped his head around. Oh, right hand.
You know, I've got a little suspicion that Larry O'Connell might just give him another round, and then, because there's no way if they fought till this time next year, Murray's going to win this. I've given Delaney every single completed round, one of them by a 10-8 margin, and I don't think there's too much point letting this continue. I really don't. And Larry O'Connell, hugely experienced, a very humane referee. I think he might call it off after this round. I really do.
Well, he might need to. Delaney was honing in on target at the end of the last round. If you do that again, you just take the resistance away from Jim Murray.
And you know, the way Murray's come out, I think that's just what Larry O'Connell might have said, you know. Come out, we're going to give it one more shot. Delaney, a little bit of redness under the eyes. He's got a very fair skin, marks up very quickly, but really, in boxing terms, without a scratch. Murray looking a mess.
Oh, clashing the heads together again. Yeah, referee's taking them together. They keep banging their heads. He's actually landed on Murray's cut again.
I think really, while Larry O'Connell reads the riot act, I think Murray perhaps has been the architect of his own downfall in this respect, because it's silly not being careful with your head when you've got a bad cut.
Yeah, Delaney is making hard work of this. He could finish this better. He could be more impressive. He's had this guy all over the shop on 3 or 4 occasions and has let him off the hook. He's just got to work on his finish. A couple of good clean shots here, Dave, could finish this fight.
Yeah, in fairness to Delaney, I've got to say that Murray has proved himself incredibly durable. I mean, Delaney's taken some shots that really...
Have a look at this cut. He might do a job. He might do the job for Delaney. Stop it. He could try. The kid's given all he's had, very badly cut.
Larry O'Connell.
He's going to let him go on. Yeah. Well, it's a junior world title fight, if you like.
Oh, Larry, another great right hand. And that is it. All over. Delaney keeps his title. Stopped in round 7.
That's a very good stoppage for the referee. Fabulous work typical of Larry O'Connell.
Well, I did say it was on the cards, and I'm pleased to have been proved right, but he was taking an awful shellacking.
Yeah, he had nothing left, and he'd given all he'd had, and they couldn't stop the bleeding in the corner by unprofessional work. And that referee was a world-class referee.
1 minute and 15 seconds of round 7. The referee has started the contest.
It's a nice reward.
Has sustained a cut eye. Ladies and gentlemen, Garry is the winner.
So Delaney marches on, 15 wins out of 16 fights and a draw. But Jim Murray, boy, did he take some punishment here tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, your appreciation please for a very good loser, Jim Murray, ladies and gentlemen.
And the belt goes back on his waist. Tom Hogan, the WBO supervisor from El Paso. The belt remains in West Ham. That's what it's about. That's what he fought for. That's what he has kept. to see more of him, Barry, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, definitely. He's honing in on the British title fight and European possibly. Yeah, he's a very exciting guy. He's got the punching power to be a big hit. So let's wait and see. Could have been better tonight. Not as impressive as I would have liked from him, but he's...
Champion, Garry Delaney of West Ham. The Hammer. The champion, and a man who knew, even from his school days, that boxing was in his blood.
When I was at school, I was never really good at anything else, just fighting in the playground. So, I mean, it was a natural thing, really. I mean, most kids from the East End, you know, they either kick the ball or they fight, you know. It's the only opportunity you got round here. I mean, there's no work, there's no prospects for anyone.
Boxing it was to be then, and the Southern Area title at the expense of Glass Campbell. Down for the second time, and more reminiscences from Delaney.
When I got to about 16 or 17, I realised no one wanted to fight me anymore, you know, so, yeah.
As we watch him beat John Kagan for one blot on the record, a draw against Simon Harris, a man that Delaney knows all about.
Simon Harris is a tough fighter, very tough, but I fought him before, and we drew. But it was very early on in my career, and I mean, I'd consider that a bad match at the time. It was only my fourth professional fight. But I mean, he's an old wise head, and I mean, I can't take him too lightly, you know. So it'd be a tough fight, very tough fight.
You better believe it, and that's what they're fighting for. That is the belt that Garry Delaney owns. That is the belt that Simon Harris wants. It was a draw last time out. I don't think somehow it'll be a draw tonight. Well, that set the scene for Garry Delaney against Simon Harris for Delaney's Pentacontinental title. The challenger, Simon Harris, will be into the ring first, and a very worthy challenger too, believe me. Tough fella this. Coming off a monster of a fight with Morris hardcore for the British title. One of only 4 defeats. 4 just ground him down in 11 rounds. Good puncher, good fighter, good opponent. We've seen him on Pro Box before. Richard Bustick way back in '91 in Brisbane stopped him in 3 rounds. And funnily enough, like Delaney, of Irish descent himself. The atmosphere building here, I tell you. Here comes the Hammer in the West Ham colours. And carrying the belt is, I hesitate to use the term baby brother, but that is Chris Delaney. He's 6'12" and he's only 14. And the Southern Area belt as well, little Freddie King's got that. There's the Delaney record, the 1 draw. That was against Simon Harris. So in the traditional West Ham claret and blue, brother Chris with the WBO belt, Freddie King with the Southern Area title belt. That's what they're fighting for. Here's Alan Hughes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now come to the main attraction of the evening, promoted by Barry Hearn for Matchroom Boxing, sponsored by Highland Spring, and this is a light heavyweight contest with a match made by Frank Turner of London at 12 stone 7 pounds over 12 rounds each of 3 minutes duration for the Southern Area Championship and the WBO Pentacontinental Light Heavyweight title. Your judges at ringside, Roy Francis of Kent, Dave Paris of London, and Paul Thomas of Derby. Your WBO steward in charge is Thomas Hogan of El Paso in Texas. And when the bell rings and the action begins, the referee in charge of the contest
special here at the York Hall.
Simon Harris scale 12 stone 7, Garry Delaney 12 stone 6 pounds and 14 ounces. Ladies and gentlemen, 12 3-minute rounds of boxing. I thank you.
2 ounces in it. Simon Harris 12-7. Delaney 12-6-14. Mickey Van, the referee. East London versus West London. Garry Delaney from West Ham in East London. Simon Harris from Hanwell in West London. 12 rounds. Delaney in the white trunks. Harris in the green. Mickey Van assures all is set. Second three judges. We have round 1.
Harris is a quicker starter, and we've accused Delaney in the past of being a little bit one-paced. Got to be careful here at the start, because Harris can whack too. He's had 9 of his wins have come inside the distance, and he's got a particularly good left hook. But it'll be a good barometer to see how much Delaney has come on, or whether he's come on at all. I think he's improved dramatically, and he punches better, he's jabbing better, and he's putting his punches together with a bit more authority.
Yes, there's no doubt that maybe Harris has fought at a slightly higher level so far than Delaney. Only 3 fights in it, experience-wise, but as I say, Harris has had a British title challenge under his belt.
In this fight, Delaney's got a fabulous jab. He really has. He doesn't use it enough, but he's got a great jab. He's got a great height for a light heavyweight. He's got to use that jab. Hasn't used it that much in his career. In his last few fights, he's using it better. Particularly against Laz Campbell, used the jab great, and that was able to hit Campbell because of that. And that's what he's got to do against Harris. He's got to keep him on the end of the long jab and then banging those right hands, and just settle down and take it nice and easy. Harris, on the other hand, got to try and pressurize him, draw him into a slugging match, and be able to come in with that quick left hook that he's got.
Punch to watch for from Delaney, the left hook. Actually, the right's not bad either.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. The right hand's a good punch too. But Harris has got a quality left hook, no doubt about that.
But Delaney is a genuine one-punch finisher. Again, Harris has got a decent enough dig. This is a very even contest, this. As I say, they've met before. They'll know about each other. Draw was a pretty fair verdict last time out.
Well, the winner of this fight is obviously it's a crossroads for both of these guys. It's a good tester for both of them. But then he's got to work the body more often. He's using that jab effectively, but he can also whack the body too. You know, don't stop punching till the referee says break. So he was right to keep banging away there.
Both of them showing each other a great deal of respect in this opening round. Both of them aware of the other's punching power and aware that it's a long fight. That was an even round. We're with Garry Delaney, with Freddie King, who's taken him throughout his career so far. From Michelle, out of frame, thank you Michelle. Jason King's in the corner too. And over the other side of the ring, Simon Harris works as a painter and decorator outside boxing. Comes from Hanwell, not so very far away from where another famous Irish fighting family used to live, the Finnegans in Ivor.
taking a dip there.
Yeah, some put a shilling in the meter. Good. Second round.
It's been fought at a very relaxed pace, no urgency about it from either fighter. I thought, you think Harris could maybe try to inject a little bit more pace, but he's obviously aware of the punching power that Delaney has. It would suit him better because he would have a better chance himself of landing that left hook. But Delaney's just reaching with that jab now and setting the pace. Jab's a great shot. When you just can whack that in, you always know you're in punching range when you can connect with the jab. Good solid jab. He's putting weight behind it now too, not just flicking it. He's actually putting weight behind it. Harris is not moving that head enough. He's still static and his forehead is reddened by that left jab getting smacked into it. You can see. You actually see Delaney cranking up the right hand. He actually sets it, he pulls it back a fraction, just a little giveaway sign.
Just under half the round to go. And so far, Garry Delaney's jab is point scoring for him.
Yeah, he's just setting it. He's setting the pace with the jab, controlling the fight. But it can flare into action at any time. Both of these guys can bang him.
These are good jabs.
Jabs are really working well for Delaney.
Harris has yet to find a way inside them.
I believe that Delaney's actually a harder puncher than Morris Coore, the British light heavyweight champion, but Coore's got more speed than him and he's got he's a little bit more agile. Pure punching power. Delaney, there aren't many light heavyweights in the country that can bang like him. Simon Harris is one tenacious young man. 32, he's not exactly young. He's a tough guy, a gritty fellow.
A decent round for the champion. Let me just quickly remind you about the scoring here. We have 3 ringside judges, all from England: Dave Paris, Paul Thomas and Roy Francis. They score 10 rounds, 10 points I should say, to the winner of a round as Dave Paris. 10 points to the winner, 9 or 8 even if there's a knockdown to the loser. There are the 3 judges. We have a mandatory 8 count in the event of a knockdown. The referee, Mickey Van, does not score. Well, there are our officials. WBO official in charge is Mr. Tom Hogan. And they're fighting, of course, for the WBO Pentacontinental Championship, currently held by Delaney, making the second defence of the title. Won it against Real, but successfully defended against Jim Murray. Last time out in this York Hall ring back in the middle of January. Third round. Delaney, the champion of the white with the claret and blue West Ham trim and the claret and blue West Ham boxing boots. Simon Harris, the challenger, green with the yellow trim.
Delaney's content to sort of settle down in this and go as long as it takes, and that's a good attitude to have, because if you go searching for Harris, he could get it over with, but he could end up visiting the floor himself, because this guy can really whack with the left hook, and he's a real tough guy. He's just settling down Delaney with that jab and working everything off that.
It's a sign of Delaney's growing maturity, isn't it? He's not looking for the big punch. He's content to just work behind the jab at the moment. He knows that sometime between now and the end of round 12 there'll be an opportunity for him to land a big punch, and he's quite happy to wait for it.
Yeah, patience is a virtue, and it's very important in the fighter to have patience, because you're not going to knock everybody out. You're going to have to settle down and outpoint somebody at some stage in your career. So to do that, Harris is very tight defence when he gets up close. He's got the highest respect for Delaney's punching power, so he's not punching back when they get up close.
He looks just a little bit tentative, Harris. He needs to start doing some work. He's hardly doing a thing at the moment.
Well, this is what happened with when he fought Morris Corey. He gave away the first 5-6 rounds. He's got to start working a bit more.
And as I speak, he tried a couple of big swings.
Delaney could go down low to the body, Dave, as well. He could work the body a bit more. And you've got a guy that's holding his hands up tight to his head. He can whack the body too.
As we've said before, Delaney is not the fastest starter in the world. He always takes a couple of rounds to, if you like, get up the cruising speed. And just signs now that he's thinking about letting the big right hand go.
Well, don't worry, it'll happen, but he's just going to decide when it does. The jab's working really well at the moment. He's winning these rounds by just using that solid jab. And there's no need to turn it up just yet. The opening will come, and this guy's still dangerous. Good left hook to the body, that's better work. He can work the body too. There's no offence about going to the solar plexus.
Last 10. Once again, not a bad round for the champion, as this fight slowly shows signs of coming to life. Both boys have had a look at each other now.
Delaney in this round dominated with the jab, as in the first two. He's using the jab, and a few times cranked up the right hand, but Harris was able to get those hands up very tight round his head and tried the left uppercut there, but it was well out of range. But again, he's starting to set the pace now, and he's gradually up in the pace, putting his foot on the gas. And you'll find that he'll do more work in this the fourth round too. And this fight will really liven up.
Seconds out, round 4.
And a purposeful start to round 4 by the challenger, Simon Harris. He realises now that he's going to try and wrest some of that initiative back from Delaney.
Well, he's got to try and throw some punches, try to land some punches. He's got to try and do some work. He's been outreached here, and he's got to try and get into punching distance and let those punches go. He's been doing no work at all. Maybe he's saving it, thinking it's going to be a long fight. He's got to do something.
Decent body shot there from Harris. The crowd pretty solidly for Delaney, which isn't surprising as we're on his home patch here at the York Hall in Bethnal Green.
I like to see that right hand more from Delaney. He can bang that right hand into the head. Even if it's going to hit him on the guard, he can bang the right hand into the guard and whip in the left hook to the body. He works the body too, because he's jabbing exclusively to the head. Jab to the body's a great punch too. It brings the guy, it dips him over and makes him available for that right hand for the head.
Good combination.
Delaney's there sort of stepping his pace up, and Harris has got to work more too. He's doing nothing at all.
Oh, definitely come to life now.
Oh, good left hook from the beautiful left hook down below, and Harris comes back himself with a left hook to the body. highest respect for each other, these guys. They're not taking any chances. And then you're looking for the shot there. Bringing that elbow down to watch. Ooh, throwing that left hook to the body. Keeping the right elbow down to protect himself from the left hook from Harris. That's definitely Harris's best punch, that short left hook. Landed it a few times there, but all of the times hit Delaney on the glove. He's trying that right hammer there as Harris comes forward. It's a better round from Harris.
Indeed.
Getting more work and putting the pressure on Delaney.
Lovely jab from Delaney to end that round. In the champion's corner.
Delaney tried the right hand a number of times, and he really let it go a few times in this round. Just with the left hook to the head, just snapped his head back, banged the right hand over here, and again didn't really land any great effectiveness. The left hook under the ribs or under the elbow was brilliant, and again you see the way Harris came right back with his own left hook. Delaney's a big tall guy for the light heavyweight division, so his body shots can be hurtful, I can tell you.
Seconds out, round 5.
Yes, fifth round. I have to say, Delaney in front at this stage. Harris hasn't yet found a way to cope with that jab. He's really got to start throwing more punches now as the challenger.
Well, this is the only guy that has gone the distance with Delaney. Did he actually beat Delaney?
No, draw.
The drew, yeah. Well, you can understand Delaney's tentativeness. I haven't seen him so tentative before. He's not prepared to sort of put the pressure on so much. He's been careful, and that's understandable. He's jabbing effectively, but he hasn't really opened up yet. But that's not long in coming, you can be sure.
Good body shot from Harris.
Yeah, he's been matched every time by Harris to the body. And Garry is a wee bit slow in those moves, and that's where Harris can come into effect. Starting to come forward again. Better work from him when he comes in close. He's landing those left hooks to the body. The left hook to the body from Harris is really quick and really good. And he's obviously hurt Delaney a few times with that, so he's not too keen to exchange blows when they get up close. He needs to do it when he's at a distance. He's got long punches like that right hand, a beautiful shot. Got to keep ooh, that left uppercut just whistled by his whiskers.
Felt the draft.
I tell you, give you pneumonia or something like that.
And all the time Delaney has that right hand cocked, ready to throw.
It's a real waiting game. It's a chess game at the moment. It dictated, of course, by Delaney's jab, but Harris is coming forward. He's trying to make a fight of it. He's got to do that. Good left hook again to the head, but Harris's quick shots to the body are really good. He's doubling them up.
He's slowly but surely, Harris is edging his way back into this contest. I've often said before, once you've surrendered the initiative, it's very hard to get it back again. There's no doubt at all that the early part of the fight was Delaney's, but this boy's coming back.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This was his best round so far, and this is the 5th round. Body shots in particular were good. Backed around Delaney around the right elbow, and you see where he's not so keen to throw punches when they get up close. But definitely the best round for Simon Harris, but he needs to put more pressure on, and if he wants to land with that left hook, he's got to try and entice Delaney into throwing punches at him, and the only way you can do that is by forcing the fight, keeping on top.
Second down to round 6.
So we come to the halfway stage, 6th round of the scheduled 12-rounder at the York Hall for the WBO Pentacontinental Light Heavyweight title, held by Garry Delaney in the white, challenger Simon Harris. East London against West. Not beyond the realms of possibility that Delaney could win this fight on the jab alone. It would be out of character perhaps, but nonetheless, a win is a win is a win. Then again, the right could settle it.
Yeah, I've never seen Delaney box so patiently, but he's doing that, and I suppose he has to do that. He's got to try and pace himself. This is a long, possibly maybe a long fight. Save plenty in reserve in the event that it goes into the latter stages. His jab again working, but very cautious approach by Delaney, there's no doubt about that. It's unlike him, you know, he's been coming back with the heel of his glove there, just after he missed with the right hand. Keeping that elbow tucked in there and watching Harris's left hook. And Harris is having more effect with that man, as I said, in punching range. No right hands at all from him, but left hook's working well. Delaney hasn't hurt him with anything great. Banging the occasional right hand through, but none of them has landed clean yet.
No.
So try the uppercut, bang the body or something. He needs to get Harris's hands down so he can have a clean dig at that chin. Tough guy, Simon Harris. As I say, I watched him against Morris Core and he put up a real gritty performance.
Left hook and down.
Absolute beauty.
Oh, what a shot that was. That was the punch I told you about. He's going to have trouble.
Yeah, the caution paid off.
9.
Here it is, time.
Out. One shot does it. Delaney retains the title.
Yeah, that left hook was a beaut. Just waited patiently, used the jab very, very well. You know, Harris had to get up close to do that work, to hit him with the left hook and to hit him with his own punches, and he walked onto an absolute cracker of a left hook. That was a beaut. This guy's got one punch finishing power. He can do it and turn it on with either the right hand, but particularly that left hook, and we're going to see it soon. What a finish. Absolute fantastic puncher. Harris forces him back to the ropes, tries his own left hook, misses again, tries it again, and look, he's always based on his left foot, comes back with that beautiful left hook, elbow down, everything behind him. We'll see it from another angle here. Watch the way he delivers that hook. Puts all the weight on the left leg, right? And here it comes. Whack. Beautiful shot. Nice, tucked, tight, and the fight was over.
And what a mature fight from Delaney as well. He was content to just work behind the jab for 6 rounds, for 5.5 rounds. And the first opportunity he got, bang, knockout, it's all over.
There you go, done it in almost half the time that the British light heavyweight champion Morris Court done it.
That's a good point, Barry. Very good point.
I mean, he done it clinically. It was an absolutely beautiful performance. And this guy's going places, there's no doubt about that.
Well, we're going to have a chat with Garry Delaney in a moment. Wait for him to get out of the ring.
There's a number of fights out there. We have guys, instead of fighting for the British title, they can fight for the European title, and in fact, in some cases, fight for the world title before they actually fight for a British title. So, I mean, we've got 4 champions in the light heavyweight division, and 4 good champions. Jeff Harding, Henry Mask. We've got guys like Virgil Hill and Leonzo Barber. So there's a number of guys out there that he can fight. And we've got Eddie Smolders, who's just been beaten by Fabrice Tizio from Paris for the European light heavyweight title. So it's there are a number of guys that he can fight, and I'm sure he will want to propel himself into a title fight as soon as possible.
Right, well, I'm going to go over and have a chat with Garry. Barry, I'll leave it with you for a moment.
Yeah, well, what can I say? Very patient performance by him. Finished off by this, but this guy's got such one-punch finishing power. The fight can be over in no time at all, as we've just seen there. What about that for a left hook? You know, we'll see it again from a different angle, but what's the way he lifts his elbow and it pivots all of the weight onto that left leg and brings it right across, really short and effective whack. And his accuracy was brilliant there, landed right on the button, and Simon Harris went down so heavily there, there was no way that he was going to be able to get up at all, and it was just a fabulous finish. He's getting better and developing as an all-round fighter as he goes on. And there's no doubt that this guy's going places, and he's going to be fighting for a British title or possibly a European title very soon indeed. So we're going to go to Dave Brenner here, who's going to be talking to Garry Delaney.
Well, I'm with Garry Delaney, but Garry Delaney is just getting checked over by the doctor at the moment. So we'll talk while Garry is doing this. This happens at the end of every fight, just to make sure winners and losers get checked by the doctor. The doctor's okay. Yeah, he's okay. So, well, Garry, did that go just according to plan?
Yeah. See, Harris, he's a tough old fighter. He's one of them opponents. Anyone can come unstuck against him. I mean, he went 11 rounds with Morris Court, and I just like to say, Morris Court, you know the score.
Now, was that a hindrance or a help that you'd fought him before?
It was a good learning fight. It was a bad match at the time because it was too early on in my career, but it was a very good learning fight, you know. I used it as a kind of a springboard just to...
Now, listen, I want you to turn around, because if you look at that screen, you'll see the knockout punch. Talk us through it.
Yeah, he was trying to fling these, see them wild right hands over the top. That's what he was trying to get me with. And then... boom, look at that, left hook. See, that's where I'm at my most dangerous, when I'm pressured against the ropes. I mean, you see it when I fought Gil Lewis. I was against the ropes, here it comes. Whoa, look at that, they don't even see that coming.
Well, you've managed to do what Morris Court did in half the time that Morris Court took. So does Morris Court, the British light heavyweight champion, figure in your plans at the moment?
I just want the Lonsdale belt, you know, that's it.
Well, let's bring Barry Hearn in, who's hovering around, the manager of the Pentacontinental champion. Barry, you must be well chuffed with that.
Well, all compliments to Garry, Freddie King, everyone. You know, that was a perfect executed plan. You know, he outboxed him, he drew him on, and Gary's one of the most, if not the most devastating one-punch hitters in Europe. European title, British title. Listen, why don't we just go straight for the world title, because this boy's going to go all the way.
I'd just like to thank Freddie King, my trainer. He's done a brilliant job, marvellous job of me, and with him in my corner, I can't go wrong, I can't lose.
Well, gentlemen, well done. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Garry. And we mustn't forget that Mark Delaney won as well tonight, so a great night for the... Light heavyweight now. Garry Delaney against John Williams. Garry Delaney we will see in a moment. The newest addition to the Matchroom stable. And his opponent, John Williams. Not the finest of records, I think you'll agree. But as he walks past our commentary point, looks in good condition.
Well, actually, Dave, John Williams is a guy who travels the gyms all over the country and spars with absolutely everyone. He really has sparred with absolutely everyone. And he will not be overawed by the fact that Garry Delaney is a known banger. He really will be walking off the duck's back in the mind of this man you see standing for you.
Now here comes Garry Delaney, who is rated as something of a hot prospect. The one slight blemish on his career, a draw last time out against Simon Harris. That was in Barking back in February. Wearing the West Ham colours, claret and blue. And here's Alan Hughes again.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this contest is a cruiserweight contest over 6 3-minute rounds. Introducing in the red corner with the red shorts from Liverpool, John Williams. And his opponent in the blue corner with the white shorts from West Ham, Garry Delaney.
Garry Delaney being billed from West Ham actually lives up to the football team's nickname of the Hammer, because he really has got an hammer in that left hook.
Your referee for this contest is Teddy Gardner and your timekeeper, Nick White.
So Delaney with good height advantage. This is scheduled for a 3-minute trip, 6 rounds. Delaney with the West Ham crest on the left leg of his trunks, shamrock on the right.
But you'll see Williams, he's a cute cookie. He's been man moved with good fighters, and he won't show Garry Delaney no respect. Obviously, Garry Delaney will be looking to impress.
That was a good left. He dug that into Delaney.
As I was saying, Garry Delaney will be looking to impress by adding a scalp of Williams to the knockout department of his record. He's certainly capable of it. You know, Delaney used to box for West Ham Boxing Club. There's a right.
That's a good right. That wobbled Williams.
Shot Williams right down to his feet. I was just going to say Garry Delaney used to box for West Ham Boxing Club, as well as an England international. And now he's on the pro ladder. But that really, really shot Williams.
Williams, to his eternal credit, is doing his best to make a fight of it. He's taking the contest to the harder hitting Garry Delaney.
Williams has got to stay tight. That right hand is looking to come right over the top if he falls short with a jab. Delaney comes back with a left hook every time. Good jab.
Has got a good jab.
That's the left hook. Could be all over here and now.
Here comes the finish. Williams in dire straits. I think we could stop this any time now. Trying to cover up and fight back. Takes another left.
He really looks ready to go, Williams, but like I said to you before, he's mixed with good fighters. He's been in that position before, and that durability is probably his #1 aspect.
Well,
he certainly looks wobbly.
He has fought some name opponents.
The referee,
this should be stopped now.
The referee is poised to jump in.
I don't know what he's poised for. He should be doing the jumping because Williams is very wobbly.
Delaney lands one more. It's going to be a clean knockout. certainly absorbed some heavy stuff in that round, Dave. And
well, we're in John Williams' corner, putting with guys like Magni Havner, the Norwegian former WBO world champion. So the experience on his record is there, but my goodness, Delaney does hit awfully hard.
you know, Dave, you pick up the action here. You see Delaney unloading with both hands. There's a big flush left hook landed right on the chin. Delaney coming in there looking for the finish. And Williams really all over the place, and the referee would have been in order to have jumped in at any moment now, but he's giving the benefit of that, and here he comes to answer round 2.
Well, I have to say, I think the fight could quite justifiably have been stopped in round 1, but here we go, round 2. Williams in the red, Delaney in the white. Left hook.
He's going to have to step in because Delaney's so accurate, and Williams really hasn't got an answer. He's strictly on a survival course.
One more. If Williams takes one more, that really is enough. I don't think Williams has got any sort of reply at all to Delaney.
No.
You can see he's in the first round he was willing to come forward a little bit, but now pure survival, and one more shot I'm sure he'll go.
I believe he's carrying a weight advantage, Williams, but that's all he's carrying in the advantage department, because Delaney's too good for him in every department. Too much power, and he really has got the eyes of an executionist at the moment. He's really looking to land a payoff shot.
And Delaney looking to sort of literally corner him, unload a few more shots.
So Williams has always been a survivor, particularly around the gymnasiums, and he's using what he's learnt at the moment just to stay on that survival course, but I don't think he's going to be able to get through the 6th round distance against Garry Delaney.
Well, I don't know about expert in survivor, Jimmy. I think you need to sprout wings to get through 6 rounds against Delaney.
Yeah, in terms of a contest, it's already ceased, because there's no way Williams can even think about winning. You know, he really is looking just to get through the round at the moment before worrying how he's going to get through the next one. Delaney doing the right thing, trying to set him up with that jab. He's come across with the booming bombs.
And Williams has hardly thrown a shot that's got through in this round. Delaney, as yet, does not have quite the experience to quarter the ring, move in close. He needs to take a step and a half closer in and unload one.
This is what we talk about experience. You know, Williams is moving there, trying to stay as mobile as possible and keep well away from the bombs. It's up to Garry now to close the gap. He's being intelligent when he's using the jab, but he's got to look to use the jab to set him up forward one of the big shots and draw him onto it, because Williams is going to look to run and survive as long as he can.
Well, as we look at one banger, Garry Delaney, let me tell you how you can have a chance to see another banger in action. Nigel Benn, who, as I'm sure you know, returns to a British ring on the 23rd of May at the National Indoor Arena in Birmingham against Sugar Boy Malinga, the man that Chris Eubank successfully defended his WBO super middle title a couple of months ago. Now then, Ben against Malinga at the NIA on Saturday the 23rd of May, and you can be there. We've got a couple of VIP tickets to give away for that fight, and if you want to find out how to win those VIP tickets, turn to page 580 of Sport Text, or dial this number 0898 555556. Those calls are charged 48 pence a minute at peak time and 36 pence off fee. I'll give you the number again in the break between the next round. Right now, though, we're watching round 3 of this light heavyweight contest. Garry Delaney in white and John Williams in red. Delaney well on top.
I think they've billed this as a cruiserweight contest, Dave. I think both boys are on the 13 stone mark, but they're both...
My apologies, Jim. Now, we were talking in the last round about Delaney's comparative inexperience. Granted, he's having his 6th fight tonight, but I think I'm right in saying that something like 3 of those fights have not gone beyond round 1. So in terms of actual fighting time, hasn't had that much.
Good point. It certainly looks an exciting young prospect, you know. Big tall guy, plenty of power. More than a useful looking left jab. So this is an experience for him now against like an experienced old campaigner who's, as I stated earlier, on a survival mission, and Gary's got to work out how to cut him off, track him down and nail him basically. It's all part of the learning process for people with aspirations, as Garry Delaney undoubtedly has, to go on to bigger things in the fight game. This guy really does absorb a shot, because they're knockout blows he's absorbed and still standing.
Well, Williams learned his lesson in round 1, and as you so rightly say, Jim, it's trying somehow to salvage some form of professional pride and last the full 6-round trip, but it's not, I'd be the first to admit, making for the world's most interesting contest.
You know, if Williams had any ambitions of winning, I'm sure the first time he got nailed by the hammer, they probably evaporated, because from that moment on in, he was just thinking about going a distance and using all the years of experience of ducking and diving in all the gymnasiums and so forth to try and steer him through.
Well, to add insult to injury, he seems to be on the brink of getting himself disqualified, which would be a sad end for constantly holding and spoiling and mauling.
Yeah, it's very difficult to look good as well. Now, Gary's obviously out to impress tonight as his first contest as a matchroom fighter, and he's obviously wants to go out there looking $1 million. And when you're in against a guy who's on a survival mission and is good at it, it becomes a difficult project.
Well, when one guy wants to fight and one guy is trying to stop him fighting, it makes for a fight like this. And sadly, Delaney's comparative lack of experience has left him unable to cope at this moment. Now, as promised, let me very quickly give you that number again. If you want to enter our competition to win 2 Ben Malinga tickets, 0898 55 5556, 0898 55 5556, or you can turn to page 580 for Sport Text. 2 VIP tickets for Ben against Malinga at the National Indoor Arena on the 23rd of May, and that competition closes on the 20th of May. So get your entries in as soon as possible, and may the best man, woman or child win. Good luck to you all. Now back to the matter in hand. We're in John Williams' corner.
7 seconds.
And I guess you've got to give him some credit for getting this far, Jim.
Well, he sat down in his corner, and you know, you see the aspiration that his corner was speaking to him. They was really like trying to fire him up and pump him, and he was sitting there looking at him and responding. You know, he's probably in there really believing he can win this contest, but I can't see how, because you know, Delaney, for me, is better in every department. He's obviously the bigger puncher, but he's also got a textbook left jab when he chooses to use it. And he's just looking to try and solve the answer, to track this guy down and try and end it inside the distance. Good
the
shot.
left hand again. And once again, Williams does the limpet impression, hangs on. Now someone is cut. Someone is badly cut.
Yeah,
and I think
splattered all over Delaney's arms.
I think it's Williams.
I'm sure it must be. That crunching up must have done the damage, which Delaney landed there with his backs to the rope. Yeah, I think it's a nose cut actually, Dave.
Yeah. And the blood, yeah, it's the Williams nose that's bleeding.
And pouring out of his mouth as well.
Yeah,
I wonder if it's a broken nose, because...
well, they generally tend to bleed like that, don't they? At the moment, Garry Delaney looks as though he's gone 4 rounds with Hannibal the Cannibal, let alone John Williams, covered in his opponent's blood. And the mouth of John Williams hanging open now.
He's obviously struggling to breathe through that nose.
That's right.
If you look to suck air through his mouth now, and sponsor watch don't get it on the jaw, because he'll end up a broken one, because that's how they occur.
Well, we saw the last time we were up in Wolverhampton, Gary Osborne got broken jaw, won the fight, won on a knockout, but he had to, carrying that sort of injury.
It really is not a very pretty sight.
Well, I've got to say, Jim, even taking it on board that the injury is looks far worse than it is. I really don't see the point of letting this contest continue. The gum shield's been knocked out.
Delaney's not trapped there because Williams has got him there. He's chose to be there, you know. He feels as though he can draw Williams in and land that big left hook. He really looks comfortable with his back to the ropes. He's now got a nick on the eye, Delaney, fun enough.
He has, you're right.
The left eye.
Well, yes, he has. He has, quite right. End of the round. Another round for Delaney, and Williams looking in a sorry state now. Very tired.
If anyone needed to tell you this is a tough profession, then you've got to look at John Williams sitting there as a distraught figure, really, and on a mission to nowhere, because he really hasn't got no great chance of winning this contest. But this is professional boxing, and he'll be looking to complete his night's work, which is to go the course. He's just picked Delaney up here on the backs to the ropes. Good uppercut to the body, and back he comes with that short left hook, which never travelled.
That was the shot that caused the damage.
No more than 6 inches, and inflicted the damage that Dave just stated. Short, crunching, powerful left hook. Obviously, born puncher in Garry Delaney.
Round 5.
The seconds haven't been able to do too much about the injury to John Williams' nose. Still trickling blood. Round 5, scheduled for 6, remember. And Delaney streets ahead.
That's better from Delaney, picking shots to the belly, particularly with the right hand, trying to vary his attack a little bit, giving Williams something to think about. But Williams is a born survivor.
And once again, Williams' tag forced to hold, and if we hand out the plaudits to referees, we've got to state the other side of the coin. And as I say, I see no point at all in letting this fight continue.
Blood absolutely streaking out the mouth of Williams. And, really, whatever power he does possess has obviously left his frame, because he's really flailing away with arm shots. Delaney still looking purposeful, well within himself as well, I must add. He sort of seems to give up on the idea of taking this guy out, maybe even thinking in terms of winning on points. although he'd still have to pull it out, obviously.
Well, the last one he fought, Simon Harris, that went 8 rounds, ended in a draw, and he might well have mentally settled for a points win now.
Here you see Williams calling him on. You know, he probably thinks in his own mind he's in a sparring session because he goes through all these tricks in the gym. But you know, he's trying to frustrate the younger Delaney and try and wind the kid up. I'm sure Garry's above all that. Just go about doing his job as thoroughly and as professionally as possible.
As you can see from the on-screen clock, inside the last 30, and once again the familiar pattern of the previous 4 completed rounds continuing, all one-way traffic.
It's not a matter of will Delaney win, it's how he'll win.
Well, he's so far ahead on points, he could afford it. Stay sat in his corner for the last round. Cannot lose this contest unless Williams connects with one, and I can't see that happening.
He's certainly very laid back in his approach, Garry, sitting down there smiling in the corner. He obviously knows the fight's in the bag, and he's just ready to go through the last 3 minutes of his night's work.
Well, I think Delaney is so tired. I think Williams, I should say, is so tired now that even if you gave him a free shot at Delaney, I don't think he'd stop him. Still, we mustn't forget the aspect of a professional's pride to do the job, to get through the full 6 rounds, Jim.
I was just about to say, Dave, who would have thought we'd have seen John Williams after the opening round answering for the last?
Seconds out, 6th and last round.
You'd have got good odds. Mark He's still got 3 minutes to survive.
I know John Williams did come out and try and take Delaney out even now.
Well, if he did, it would certainly be one hell of a comeback.
I don't like to take odds on it.
Well, he's getting through with shots, is Williams, but as Jimmy was pointing out, they're all arm shots. There's no power of the body behind them, no leverage to them.
Also, you know, from a professional point of view, you know, Garry still needs to stay 100% concentrated.
Oh, for sure, absolutely right.
You know, from the strict point of view that, you know, you can switch off so easily and get nailed with silly shots, and a cut occurs, and what was an easy night's work can become quite difficult.
We're a minute into the final round between Garry Delaney from West Ham in the white and John Williams in the red. And we're going to have a very, very wide margin at the end.
Delaney trying to switch the attack to the body, crunching left hook. There you see Williams smothering him. Now, the strange thing with fighters is different ambitions, and Garry prides himself on the fact he can knock people over, but he can still be quietly pleased with his performance tonight. He's gone through it, and you know, from Williams' point of view, I'm sure he'll be pleased that he's gone the course. If he does,
got him going again.
Delaney's still banging away.
Once again, blood streaming from Williams' nose. And he is a very tired man. See, the shoulders are slumped.
I think for John Williams, in his own mind, it'd be a moral victory for the strict fact that he's got through the 6 round course.
Well,
for Garry, it's a professional night's work. which he's dealt with
without labouring the point.
Accordingly.
For me, you could have ended this contest in round 2. And
points win for Garry Delaney.
yeah, surprise, surprise. Well, that will be an enormous margin. You've got to give Delaney every round. You're looking at least 60, 57 here.
I want to know where if they don't. Yeah, Garry Delaney definitely won every round.
Well, Williams got through. He earned his corn, that's for sure. Here's Alan Hughes with a verdict.
Score the contest, 59 to John Williams, 60 to Garry Delaney. Delaney is the winner.
Well, Williams got a share of a couple of rounds. There was only 2 rounds in it at the end. I'm not quite sure how the ref figured that out. Seeing Michael again, I think, when we go to Germany again on December the 8th. Rather sooner than December the 8th. Right now, Garry Delaney against John Oxenham. This is a light heavyweight contest, 8 3-minute rounds. John Oxenham will be getting into the ring first. Here he comes from Doncaster. Now we'll have a look at his record, supplied by our regular statistician, George Delaney. There we go, 50-50 record. One point to bear in mind that he has never been stopped, which suggests a certain durability that might come in handy against the big punching Garry Delaney. A couple of years older than his opponent from West Ham, and the spotlights flash across the hall to pick out the hammer, Garry Delaney, who is coming off, let us make no bones about it, a fairly lackluster performance in Antwerp when he really did struggle to outpoint Simon McDougall over 8 rounds. He was never in any danger of winning, but he was made look very, very ordinary by McDougall.
Yeah.
Barry, we saw that fight.
Well, he wasn't able to snap out of a sort of a pedestrian pace. So maybe he'll change things tonight. McDougall's a tough, durable guy.
This contest is a light heavyweight contest over 8 3-minute rounds. Introducing in the red corner with the black shorts from Doncaster, John Oxenham. And his opponent in the blue corner with the claret and blue shorts from West Ham, Garry Delaney.
Got tremendous support.
Well, it was just round the corner from West Ham, so it's not surprising.
12 stone down, Delaney 12 stone 6.5 pounds. Your referee for this contest, Dave Paris.
Dave Paris is doing the honours. I tell you, we've got all the refereeing superstars here tonight. Mike Jacobs, Dave Paris. Seen Marcus McDonald lurking with his tent somewhere. Now, Garry Delaney, at the age of 22, having his 10th contest tonight, needs really a good performance tonight to maintain the upward curve. We've seen him at his worst against McDougall. We've seen him at his best against Gil Lewis. Fantastic knockout at Crystal Palace a couple of months ago. So let's hope we see him at his best tonight. Delaney in the claret and blue, and Oxenham in the black.
Oxenham is got a 3 or 4 pound weight advantage. He's tall and upright, so that'll mean he'll be more than likely easier to nail. It's open, he's got his elbows very wide apart, his solar plexus is wide open.
And in case you got a glimpse of them, as you probably noticed in Antwerp, Delaney fighting in one claret and one pale blue boxing boot. Little idiosyncrasy of his. There we go, see that.
a minute into round one. This is 3-minute rounds.
You can see Delaney just sizing him up here. You can actually just read his mind. He's about to land that right hand. Coming forward, the problem is he hasn't got an awful lot of upper body movement. He comes forward in a straight line and paws that left hand out, waits to whack over that right or the short left hook, but he doesn't disguise it very well. We know that, but he can really bang. The problem is he's easy to be caught himself, and he can be sort of outpaced, knocked out of his stride. Oh, just clipped Oxen with a good right hand and got nailed with a left hook himself. Ooh, another good right hand. Oxen's not a bad counter puncher. He blocks those shots and comes back well himself. Oxen's slightly quicker. Watch what happens as he comes in punching range Delaney. Oxen can either get his hands up or just get off a fraction earlier. So far. Oxen's not exactly running away from him. He's just slowly pacing around the ring, keeping his hands up high. His solar plexus is wide open. Delaney hasn't taken advantage of that yet.
Nice opening round from both boys as we go back with Garry Delaney, Freddie King working with him there in the corner. He's got the sort of pale skin that marks up very, very easily, which makes you think that he's maybe taking a little bit more stick than he actually is. By contrast, Oxenham, dark, swarthy.
Delaney just measuring him there for the right hand. Bang! And that clipped him on the top of the head, so no effect at all. But you see how quick that Oxen came back with his own little... He's not a heavy puncher, obviously. He's a light, quick puncher. But he's coming back quite quickly, keeping his hands up. As I say, he's not dancing around the ring. He's just staying in punching range, but getting his hands up when he's there.
Yes, this really seems a pretty good even money match. There's only a couple of years between these two boys. Delaney's 22, Oxenham's 24. Delaney's had 9 fights. Oxenham's had 8. So a couple of young men with ambitions in boxing. And I guess you at home can make your own mind up as to which of the two is likely to go furthest in this game.
Look at his body, Dave. Look, he's wide open, and Delaney, for the first time, sort of threw a right hand in there. He should be burying that right hand right under his heart, just banging it in there in the left hook. Get him to bring his hands down because he can't get him on the chin. His hands are tucked up around his... Oh! Just caught him there. Good right hand.
And he's not a bad finisher, Delaney. When he gets after you, the head's getting a little close there. Dave Parris tells Delaney to watch it.
Yeah, but he's head hunting too much. He should be going for the body. Mix those body shots in, get the hands down, then work on the head. See, he's not jabbing, he's just feeling with that jab, waiting for the right hand. Just feeling with it, he's not actually pumping it out there. He should be snapping it out and just...
He's using it as a measuring stick.
Exactly. Measuring for the right hand. Look at that body, he's wide open, he should be banging that body too. He's got to start working the body as well as the head. those knees down and work the body. He's not doing it. Head hunting.
A little bit of steam behind those two jabs.
That's
and
better.
again.
You see, the best punch in the book is a right hand under the heart. Absolutely takes the wind out of your sails. He hasn't used that. Got to start working the body too and snapping that jab.
That's what I aim for.
So Freddie, I'm sure, Freddie King will I'm sure tell Delaney in the corner to start working that body too. Oxen just got to get his hands up and tuck his elbows in and get on his bike. He shouldn't be standing with Delaney. He's not a heavy enough puncher. Delaney landed some cracking right hands here in this round. Look at that for a shot. Absolutely beautiful. Oxen took that
it well.
exceptionally well. He took it exceptionally well. And the snappy jab just came, as you said, Dave, near the end of the round. That should have been the case, and right from the off, snap that jab. Don't paw with it. Or feed your way, snap it.
Let me remind you again that Oxenham has never been stopped. 1-4, lost 4, but the 4 defeats, all on points. Certainly hasn't come up against a puncher like Delaney, though. But he did take that right hand at the start of the last round very well. I mean, that was right on the button, and the knees wobbled. And that's all. Delaney, back to us. Claret and blue, West Ham's colours. Oxenham in black. Black, not the colours of Doncaster Rovers. Although the way they've been playing this season, perhaps they should be. Just kidding. And again, he does take a good shot. But how many can he take, I wonder? How many? Right hand cocked.
Yeah, there's a good left hook to the body. Now that's better from Delaney. Well, he's wide open. He should be banging that body hard.
Well, it's a slow start from Delaney, but he's got better and better.
Yeah, he's a bit more snap tonight than he had the last night. Just didn't seem to get into the fight over in Antwerp.
Oh, Freddie King's obviously had him in the gym since then. He took a left hook, but a left hand that he didn't need to take then. But Freddie's obviously had him in the gym, had him watch the rerun, pointed out 1 or 2 things, and to Delaney's credit, he's learnt and he's fighting a much, much better contest tonight. And he needs to as well, because this fellow Oxenham is certainly no mug.
Yeah, again loading up, head hunting. He's got to be a bit snappier, just a bit snappier, and mix up his punches more.
When he uses it, he's got a good jab.
Good jab, can bang to the body too, but he's just a wee bit predictable, and he's showing and doing the same thing over and over again. Oh, good body shot.
And down. It paid dividends. It paid dividends. He's up at 8. He's got 30 seconds to survive.
Yeah, working the body again, Delaney. Intelligent stuff. The big man is winded. Oxenham is winded.
Oh, and again, his left foot to the body. The count will continue. The count will continue.
It's excellent. Just when he started working them body shots, it really did pay dividends for him. dropped him with that right hand. It was like a sort of an uppercut come right hand to the body and nailed him with that. Down he went, and then that tidy little left hook near the end of the round.
We'll take a look at those knockdowns. Oxenham in danger of losing inside the distance for the first time in his professional career. Now this is the first knockdown coming up.
Yeah, it was a beautiful right hand. They were coming together and it was a bit blurred because there was a lot of arms in a way, and it seemed like bang, look at that right hand. No, it was actually the left hook to the head that done the damage, but the right hand softened him up to the body. Now let's see, this is what Delaney has got to do now. In the last fight he wasn't able to jump up the pace and step the pace up when he needed to. It'll be interesting to see now, can he do this? He'll have worked very hard in the gym with Freddie to be able to snap his pace up, increase the pressure, and that's what he's got to do here. He's got an opportunity to finish this guy.
We're in round 4. Oxenham down twice in the preceding round with body shots, and Delaney has seen the way to win, and now he must execute it. And this is really 100% improvement from the McDougall fight, which really was a bit grim.
He's trying those uppercuts to the body and to the head. He's mixing his shots up well.
Minute gone.
He's backing that left hook into the body. That's a good punch. He's just been a wee bit slow with it. He's got to be just a fraction quicker. Oxenham's coming back, deciding to have a go.
Got nothing to lose after those 2 knockdowns, way behind. Delaney still probing for the opening. Mustn't be blind to other possibilities though.
Just missed the body punch there. Oxenham came forward. Oh, good right hand. You see what he's doing? He's showing the body. He's actually showing the body and working to the head. This is good thinking from Delaney. He's definitely using his head this time. Boxing better, much better. Again, he's dropped the pace. He's fallen into a lull. He hasn't been as snappy as he should be to allow the guy to recover. He's banging those shots into the body well. The pain from them do not go away.
Well, Oxenham made it through the round. We'll take another break. We'll be back in a moment. Stay calm. Welcome back to this Pro Box presentation in Dagenham. Pro Box on Screen Sport, of course, the English language channel of the European Sports Network. It's Bill going live, exclusive, all over Europe. You're watching Garry Delaney in the claret and blue of his favourite football team, West Ham United, against John Oxenham from Doncaster in Yorkshire in the black with the silver trim. Delaney well on top.
Yeah, but standing back again, he's got to. That jab is nice and snappy. He's just got to put the pressure. Good
yes,
left hook to the body again. Oh,
he's in deep, deep trouble, Oxenham.
He's trying to claim that he was hit below the belt, but when you're hit on the foul-proof protector, that high up, it doesn't do any harm.
That didn't look low to me.
Well, it was borderline, Dave, but it hit him on the top of the cup, so it wouldn't have had any effect on him at all.
Looked a legit shot. Dave Paris thought otherwise. His opinion counts. Good right. That was okay. That was okay. Beautiful two-punch combination, head and body. The count is 8, the count is 9, and that is it. That is an impressive performance from Garry Delaney. That's just about the best we've seen from him so far, Barry.
Well, it was an excellent body shot. He picked the pace up, and he was able to work the body and do the things that he should have been doing in his last fight, switching his attack and being quicker. Good result. Well done.
It was the right hook. There's the hammer. It was the right hook to the head, the left hook into the body.
And ladies and gentlemen, in the 1 minute and 2
finish,
seconds,
good performance.
And ladies and gentlemen, your appreciation, please.
This is his left hook, that right hand bang. See that 4-inch gap on the right hand side of the body? Perfect shot. Just the shoulder, the floating rib he hit. Once you hit there hard enough, that's it. That's the end of the story. And that was it. Didn't actually get a look at it at that time. Good punch, but
The first time that John Oxenham had ever been
Ladies and
stopped.
gentlemen, unbeaten now in 10 contests.
Coming up,
Delaney.
a live welterweight contest. Another one, full nights, Alex Muffet.
The blue and claret of his beloved West Ham is aiming to become the first Briton to win the Commonwealth light heavyweight title for 20 years. John Conte, the last man to hold it. His opponent, some 36 years old, 12 years the senior of Garry Delaney, is from Zambia, the reigning Zambian light heavyweight and indeed cruiserweight champion, Arigoma Chiponda. Had just 10 contests. He's won all of them, 7 of them inside the distance, but he hasn't anything like the experience that Garry Delaney has had. Delaney, the southern area and the reigning WBO Pentacontinental champion, and takes his nickname from his favorite football team. He's Garry the Hammer Delaney. And in 18 professional contests, he's had 17 wins, 1 draw, and 11 of those contests have finished inside the distance. So it's Delaney in the sky blue and claret against the man in gold from Zimbabwe, Arigoma Chiponda. Chiponda, this is his first contest outside his native country. So not only have we not seen too much of him, we don't really know a great deal about him other than his record. Boxed in the 1984 Olympics and lost to an Irishman, Tommy Core, in the very first series. And he's giving away a fair old bit in height and reach. And Delaney is a very, very strong puncher. Delaney's WBO Pentacontinental title not at stake here, so both men, we haven't got a challenger or a champion. They're both challengers for this Commonwealth title, which is vacant. There's a good short left from Delaney on the right to follow, and the older man is wobbling straight away, and you do have the feeling that Garry Delaney is aiming to add this title to the 2 he already holds in the shortest possible time. He really is a devastating puncher with both hands. He can shorten that left and bring it inside, and he finds the target. He's being perhaps a little unnecessarily wary, and Chiponda swinging rather ponderously. 36 years old, remember this man. John King from Northampton, the referee. Delaney swinging wildly and missing. There doesn't look to be a great deal to worry about in terms of Chiponda's punching at this stage, although he stopped 7 of his 10 opponents in his 10 successive victories. Oh, what a good right hand, and Chiponda's wobbling already, and Delaney may not have the time to finish this. What a sensational end to the first round. Delaney hasn't thrown too much, but he's landed twice, and Chiponda's taken that second one well, and the bell, I think, is going to come to the rescue of the Zimbabwean, and Delaney leisurely strolls back to his corner, and he must be simply oozing confidence. What a second right hand that really was. So the first round, a fair indicator of the punching power of Garry Delaney. A slight delay at the start of the second, while the gum shield of Chiponda is wiped and put in. And having taken a left and then a right, the man from Zimbabwe won't be desperately keen to come out and face Garry Delaney. Delaney only one blemish, if you can call it that, in his record, and that a draw. Simon Harris in February of 1992 held him to a draw, but he defeated Simon Harris in a defense of his WBO Pentacontinental title, stopping him in April of this year in 6 rounds. And it's a very leisurely and measured Garry Delaney. He's not trying to rush into anything. He knows that he carries enough in both hands to finish the job. As the right was let go again, the accuracy not quite there. Open part of the glove that time from Delaney, not a clean shot. Chiponda much smaller. Oh, well, it was never destined to go very far, was it? And with just over a minute gone in the second, Garry Delaney, I don't think, will need to come off that corner post, and somebody will have to get in, I hope, and help Arigoma Chiponda, because the hammer struck again, and with a vengeance. Well, he threatened it all the way through the first. The left came in, the right came in, and they really love that sort of a finish here in Bethnal Green. What a shot with the right hand. John King, no hesitation.
The winner and the new light heavyweight champion of the Commonwealth, Garry Delaney.
So Garry Delaney follows in the footsteps of Freddie Mills, Randy Turpin, Chris Finnegan, and John Conte, and becomes the light heavyweight champion of the Commonwealth. And it was the hammer that did it.
To ringside at the Goresbrook Leisure Centre in Dagenham. I'm David Brenner, and sitting alongside me the former WBA featherweight champion of the world, Barry McGuigan. An evening, the boxing tonight, featuring some up-and-coming stars in the Matchroom stable and one or two established favourites as well, like Mickey Hughes and Francis Ampofo. The first fighter we're going to see fits into the former category, perhaps a prospect for tomorrow. His name is Garry Delaney, and he fights the experienced Nigel Rafferty. Here's Rafferty from Wolverhampton, out of the Ron Gray stable. He's sitting in the second row behind the gangway. So, in gets Rafferty, 24 years of age. Not a bad wee record, roughly 50-50. 31 fights, 14 wins, 13 defeats, 4 draws. Now making his second pro box appearance tonight is Garry Delaney. There we go, fight number 7 for Garry. We saw his last contest against John Williams at the Crystal Palace on the 12th of last month. John Williams, the opponent, who was really battered from pillar to post over 6 rounds. Just 21. And a big puncher, won his first couple of fights inside a minute. But Nigel Rafferty, a good testing opponent for him at this stage of his career. And I don't know what Delaney's waiting for. He's always waiting for his opponent Rafferty to get into the ring. So in we get now, and we await our MC, Alan Hughes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dagenham's Goresbrook Leisure Centre to an evening of our boxing of the Stars of the Future, promoted by Matchroom and sponsored by the Daily Mirror and Sunday Mirror newspapers. A special welcome now goes to all our viewers on Screen Sport in the British Isles, Sport Canal in Germany and Switzerland, Sportsnet in Holland and Belgium, and TV Sport in France. All your officials are appointed by the British Boxing Board of Control. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a light heavyweight contest over 6 3-minute rounds. Introducing in the red corner with the yellow shorts from Birmingham, Nigel Rafferty. And his opponent in the blue corner with the white shorts from West Ham, Garry Delaney. At the weigh-in today, Rafferty scaled 13 stone, Delaney 12 stone, 12 pounds. Your referee for the contest is Reg Thompson of Hawley, your timekeeper, Danny Peacock of Epsom.
Well, Reg Thompson doing the honours as referee of this contest. This is scheduled for 6 3-minute rounds. Delaney in the white and Rafferty in the yellow. Well, Barry, you weren't with us at the Crystal Palace when we saw Delaney's last fight, but he's a young man with a big reputation.
Yes, I've heard a lot about him. In fact, it's hard to believe that 6 years ago he actually came to my house and got my autograph, and his dad said, "This is a kid of the future, you know, keep your eyes out for him, he's going to be winning title." He was a big kid then, but yeah, he's been pulled off a few surprises in the amateurs and he turned professional. I've been keeping my eye on him. He's a bit of a banger too, I believe.
Well, he certainly is. 3 out of the 5 wins inside the distance, and truth to tell, the last contest he had with John Williams, although it did go the full 6-round trip, it really could have been stopped after 2 or 3 rounds.
Yeah, and he's got a great deal of support here tonight too. Obviously a big following. Yeah, slipping those punches well. Setting Rafferty up there. Could be using his jab a bit better and leaves his left a bit low. He's nice and relaxed and he's adapted to the professional game obviously quite well. Slowing down a bit. 12 for a light heavyweight. Should be snapping that jab out. Rafferty's short and stocky.
Well, Rafferty more often fights at super middle. He's coming at 12-12.
Yeah, and looks a bit fleshy at that.
He does, doesn't he?
You see, he's tall and Rafferty's doing the right thing by pushing him back to the ropes. He needs leverage and room to punch. He should be keeping Rafferty off and snapping that left jab straight into him, then pulling those uppercuts in close as Rafferty tries to get in there.
Well, Delaney certainly has all the physical advantages in this contest. He's taller, he's heavier, he's stronger, he's younger, and he looks a little bit fitter.
Yeah, it's just the first round, so he's got plenty of time. Oh, nice left hook to the body, right hand to the body too. He's just making a little mistake. He's leaving the room between him and Rafferty too short. He should be keeping a bit further away from him. And he can tee off on him a bit better.
Good opening round for young Garry Delaney here. West Ham supporter. He's got the West Ham socks on and the West Ham hammers on the left leg of his boxing trunks, and listening carefully to this train of Freddie King.
He's measured. See him measuring with that jab. That's right-handed by left hook. There were the two best shots of the round. And the left hook after to the head just sort of clubbed him on the side of the glove, so he didn't really take the effect of that punch. But he's just loosening out. Now obviously he's a slow starter, Garry, so he needs a bit of time to get into the fight.
It's a face that's seen a few fights. Nigel Rafferty having his 32nd tonight. Second round to the hoot of the air horn. Delaney in white, Rafferty in yellow.
Nice little combination, and he used that little elbow there on the inside. Did you see that, Dave, to get Rafferty off him? Got a great jab, big Delaney. He should be smacking that out. He's got all the height he needs there to keep Rafferty at bay. Nice little combinations. He didn't mention the shamrock that he's also got it in his right hand leg.
I was waiting for you to notice that. But a yellow shamrock?
No, it's just a washed out green.
Hold it, go.
Split a bit fleshy around the eyes too. He made in later years mark up around the eyes. In fights, mark up. He's quite puffy looking above and below the eye.
Yes, especially the left eye. It is pinking up a little bit.
Well, he's starting to tee off on Rafferty and chopping him to the body and to the head.
And Rafferty has cut, vertical cut on his right eyebrow, on the corner of the eye. And it might have been heads, that. They were getting a little close.
You go around the front.
Cut doesn't look too bad, but we know we shall take a look at the close of the round.
Referee had a quick look at it there. Obviously, he wasn't too worried.
Oh, let go, referee.
Nice right hand. I was waiting for that one.
Delaney, very shiny around the eyes. The skin puffing up.
I'm surprised that Delaney is actually allowing Rafferty to come in this close. He's not as effective as he is when he starts landing his combinations from a distance. And he's letting Rafferty to come in on him, and he's got a much better jab than Rafferty too. But he's slowly chopping him down there.
Boss him around there.
Yeah.
Little rueful smile from Rafferty as he comes back in the corner. You can see the cut there. It's a vertical cut. Now we're going to do some work on that. That's not too bad. That's not too bad.
Yeah, the wet sponge is not going to do it any good. Should be getting
the 1 in 1,000 adrenaline.
The old adrenaline on there, but it's a minor detail. It's not too bad looking the cut. More like a scrape, isn't it? Like a lace mark.
Well, the corner don't seem too worried about it at all. They're not putting the swab stick on it.
Yeah, this is the right uppercut and a long left hook. Delaney teed off with some lovely shots there, but again he's allowing Rafferty to come in and right hand again. There's a clash of heads there. Could have been a clash of heads, I don't know. It looks more like a glove mark.
Round 3.
Well, as we start the third session, Delaney has comfortably taken the first two. Rafferty with a weak cut on the right eye.
I'd be surprised if Freddie King hasn't told him to start being a bit smarter with that jab. Let those punches go, little combination punches go, just a fraction earlier. But he's slowly chopping this guy down. At the end of the round, Rafferty began to totter a bit.
Your arms out, Rafferty. Take him out.
Freeze! Freeze!
Rafferty's going back now instead of slowly being edged back.
Break.
Good left hook, double left hook, second left hook hurt him. Knees dipped a bit.
And he's starting to make the strength tell now as Delaney.
Yeah, thumped him around the back of the head with that one.
Got away with it though.
Yeah.
Got that right hand cocked. This is where Rafferty's experience coming in. Cover up.
Yeah, he's just chopping him down, slowly but surely. Taking him a bit of time to get his distance, get his timing together, Delaney.
Get up, let him up, let him up. Freeze! Step back.
I think Rafferty,
Come on, tidy it up.
a good counter to him. Some shots right up the middle from Delaney. Very fleshy is Rafferty.
He hasn't been working the body as much as he should have.
No.
Hit him with some good shots all the same. He's wobbled him a few times.
Let go, Rafferty.
Yes,
let go.
you've got to make allowance for the fact he's only having his 7th fight, and there are still 1 or 2 raw edges, but he does look a good prospect. So, at the end of round 3, what we shall do now is take a short break. Join Barry and me live at ringside in Dagenham again in just a moment. Well, the 4th round then. Delaney. Well, he's certainly won all 3 completed rounds on my card so far, Barry.
Yeah, he's well ahead.
Now, at this point, I'd like to see him try and just step up the pace a little bit and see whether he can put Rafferty away, because he's done the groundwork.
Yeah, that's, you know, we'll see his potential here, whether he can step up a couple of degrees and just wear this guy down and stop him.
Because Rafferty is starting to look very apprehensive now.
Arms out, Rafferty.
And no
Take him out.
wonder, really.
I'd just like to see him a little bit sharper. He's just slightly off the mark. He's hit Rafferty with some good punches, but he's just a wee bit slower than he should be. I'm sure he can get sharper than this. You know, I've no doubt that one of those good left hooks that he's just missing by inches with, one of them lands properly, the fight will be over, but he shouldn't be missing. His timing should be slightly better than this. This guy's a wildly old pro with 32 fights, so he's not going to be easy to put away.
And he really shouldn't be letting Rafferty push him back onto the ropes.
No, he shouldn't be. He has, as we say, all the physical advantages. He should be just keeping Rafferty off him. He's got a lovely smart jab. He's not using it enough. And with the result that the guy's getting in on top of him and He's puffing him up around the eyes and that. And Delaney is just telegraphing his punches a bit. All it takes is one of those really solid looking punches, but they're missing the target at the moment. Rafferty's breathing heavy, I can hear him from here.
Interesting fact about Rafferty, he's won, 13 fights in his 14 fights. I do him an injustice. 14 fights out of the 31 he's had. Never won a fight inside the distance. So
he doesn't look like a puncher. That was a slip.
Well, he made the right kind of start to this contest, Barry, but he seems to have run out of ideas a little bit, Delaney.
Yeah, he hasn't been able to step up his pace. His pace has sort of remained the same from the start. I would have imagined that sort of at this stage he would have stepped up a pace. You know, maybe he still has it in him to step up another degree or two, because that's what he needs to do, and Rafferty is there for the taking. And you know, he's won every round so far. It's just a matter of whether or not Rafferty lasts the distance now. But he's making a harder job of it than he should be. That's all. And I don't want to be critical. He's only a pup as a professional. But he should be using that snappy, sharp jab he has, and he's definitely a big puncher. And if he got that jab going a bit better, and the combinations from a distance, they would certainly end this fight. No doubt about that.
And lest we sound too critical of Delaney, it must be remembered that in his 13 defeats, Rafferty has only been stopped 5 times, so he seems to have a decent enough chin.
Yeah, he's durable. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, he's down now. He's down now. What a super left hook that was. A terrific combination. And he's not going to get up from that. And he has not. Delaney by a knockout in 5.
Yeah, all it took was one of those punches to land properly. He's there's no doubt that he's a heavy puncher, and he's got the West Ham hammer.
Now that was a good finish. A right-left combination. Good stuff.
The 5th round by a count out. Garry Delaney is the winner.
Rafferty stepped forward and he nailed him with a left hook. And it was just one punch. Hit him right on the button with it.
They're right above us. We'll take a look at it again.
He came forward, right hand missed him, left hook. That was it. Little short left hook, didn't even see it. Bang. You see it from this angle. Misses him with the right. And what's the left, the way it travels? Look. Bum. That's it. Good night, Vienna. All over. It's like an uppercut come hook. Good shot. No doubt that he's a heavy puncher. He's just got to get a little bit sharper, that's all.
Well, he's still got the hammer. The West Ham hammer. All smiles now. So 7 fights, 6 wins, 4 KOs. Just the one draw. That was against Simon Harris back in February of this year. So then, coming up after the break, we've got the little guys, Francis Ampofo against Sean Norman of Leicester. Join us for that, live at the Goresbrook Leisure Centre here in Dagenham, right after the break, and that's coming up after you've watched the knockout again.
Welcome back. Our next bout features 2 big hitting cruiserweights for the Southern Area Championship. The holder, Dominic Negus, is looking for a possible British title shot, and victory tonight over West Ham's Garry Delaney will do his chances no harm. The Commonwealth's light heavyweight champion Delaney has announced that a percentage of his purse will be going to the NSPCC. Was promised that he won't be charitable to Negus in tonight's fight. So let's return to the Maidstone Leisure Centre and we join the action at the beginning of the 7th round.
Round 7. Delaney's first defeat was against Noel McGee. That Plaza, it took a run of, I think it was 20 contests together without defeat. And this is not going to be an easy one for the referee to score if he's on like this. It really isn't. It's not one by it. Let's go. Vegas coming forward, head down. Well, I think in these last couple of rounds, it's Delaney who's better. Hit the target more, I reckon, Steve. It certainly is. And it looks like it's Negus doing the work. Because he's the one who's generally trudging forward. But Delaney is scoring with the clean-up punching. Nice little knock that time by Negus. It's a great night for Negus. That was a penalty for Negus. Didn't put one push on the target. Delaney's taken it out. It's the best pinch of the contest so far. Get a quick look to his corner there, Brian. Can let him know he was all right, but he seemed like he had a good shot to make. Oh, that's a nice right uppercut as well by Delaney. And I'm going to suggest just before that Delaney seemed to be tiring just a little bit. Maybe not. It is. Delaney's head rubbing right into Negus' face there as they roll with the corner. There was a clash of heads and Delaney's come out here with a bad cut over his right eye. The same right eye you identified in about the first round. So Delaney cut over his right eye as he whipped the white into the body. After that, get the right uppercut there. Take it lower by Negus. Was he showboat or was he genuinely had? He seemed to take it over Negus. Negus still going forward. Delaney's corner whirling him to move in, and again he moves backwards against the ropes. It was definitely ahead, but did that cut? It's quite clear you heard Delaney yell. Dropped a little bit of a nick as well over his left eye, Delaney. So he's got crumblings here. He's definitely cut over the right, and the baby just a sign to the nick out of the left shape. Good punch by Negus. Where down this is big. Negus sends his head to here, good right to Negus. End of the round, and if it was good. Much here, Alexei. Jeopardy, wow, here. Inside this hole in Maidstone. Oh, it started well for Delaney there, but you can see the corner, the boys from the Peacock Gym working furiously to get that cut over his right eye repaired, and they're swelling as well as I look up over his left eye, just beginning to show just a little bit. Oh, so round 8, how are you scoring this, Steve? I get Negus up. The net by much, maybe one round, maybe 2 rounds. But I tell you, 3 and 5 in the round has been hard to score. They've been grueling, then exciting, wet classy, but grueling, hard, piping rounds. Really good. You know, I should did a big right in London outbreak. And luckily his shirt stained with blood. Yeah, down there, the prayers on the glove of Delaney, just his eyes is crawling there, nice and confidently, Garry Delaney. And the referee just having a word to them, I think perhaps about talking to one another. That at least there won't be a communication problem with these two guys. So they both speak Cockney well. I believe you're something of arguing that is a corner down to Delaney's corner. It's getting net of acknowledgement.
It's a that is wide to Vegas. That was very low indeed. And the referee didn't get time out, and he's going to have a word with Vegas about that one. And it's Ross Youngay. That looks intentional. As a point off, that's interesting for Delaney. Sorry, that makes this fight really very interesting. So he's taking a point off there. The referee got out a low blow, which he said was an intentional low blow from Negus. The Negus is going to come back and try to win this round to get the point back. Or at least to even comes up in the round. All these fights scored on 10 points must system. 10 points for the winner. 9 for the loser. Unless there's a knockdown, and the referee can then score it 10-8 in favour of the first the knock was a correct down. Delaney trying to bring down that right cross. It's not pretty. It has a certain attraction about it. It's good, especially if you know the history of the two fighters and you know what they drew to the ring with them. Yeah, you need some information on this fight, and what you're watching here is an incredibly hard domestic fight, and in fact it's exactly what British boxing needs. It needs more fair, hard, solid domestic fight. That was a little gain from Negus, a left now as well. Now Delaney hasn't got another cut underneath this time, the right eye. You might get to have a look at that as he goes into the corner. In fact, no, he has. He just spat his gun shield out, though, in the corner. I thought there was a cut underneath his right eye. There isn't. Still the damage coming from the top of his right eye. And there's the corner once again, working away on that cut. You can't see it because they've got so much over the top of it. Check it out, down, snoring. Oh, that was a kick right at the start of this yard by Delaney. Oh, he's that was a big bombing right cross and another right cross as well. Negus seemed to take it now, but he was caught again, Negus, there with that right cross. And when throwers of this size land, it hurts. It hurts a lot. This has been a terrific place, this. I know there's been a lot of moolah, but there's 2 big guys here. Over 10 rounds, you've got the 9th round now, and this has been pulse and a non-stop fight. You've gone through a lot of big, powerful shots, guys, in close. As we left there to Delaney, and that place what is? He goes. Delaney, he can't up now. Power behind his punches in this round. There he just comes forward though. Slubbing White and Delaney. And they're downstairs from Delaney there. Good White as well from Delaney. He's working hard in this round. Garry Delaney. That is the low one. One Delaney, don't think it was intentional, but definitely below the crowds in left hand there. I don't think it was intentional, it's part of a 3 or 4 punch combination. I think Negus just slipped underneath it. Good work, this initial to Delaney. Right? He's up for work rate. From the research, listen, he's not one to go. Work and work. The hanging sleep. Boxer that catches the referee's eye in these last 2 rounds, that'll work, Steve. And especially with the point being deducted from Negus in the previous round. And if Delaney had won that round, he would have won it 10-8. Now that's an if you're going to take the draft back when you only got 3 round death and 2 round left. No one sees so. This could all be on the 10th and final round. Good work again to Delaney. He's going to learn about his still. His son does get there. So 30 seconds to go at this 9th round. Delaney did a lot of work in this round, just leaning on the highlight. He was walking inside as he looked very hard behind the punches. Large from Delaney that time, well, Rose. He doesn't have a danger area. Delaney tried to finish this one in some style to that the back of his eye. At the end of round 9, and a very good round indeed, but Garry Delaney, and that was possibly the most clear-cut round of the whole contest. Absolutely, I thought he nicked that round, or I thought he nicked the round before, so I had him 2 rounds down going into today. Suddenly, I put him a 1 point up, even on going into this last round. 10 and last round. We've got 3 minutes to go as Negus comes forward, but Delaney moves away. Damn Delaney, keep up the effort that he showed in the last round, and will Negus have a big finish to win the contest. Delaney could do 1 or 2 things. He could either think he's winning finish, so he's just floating early, he's trying to conserve himself for the last minute. Or the first thing is the joystick. I've got any ball. I've done it way up to a final round of the Southern Area Cruiserweight ball. You're right. Negus smiling as he comes in there. Once he gets out of it, you don't tell what. Let go, the spirit, no holding. Delaney trying to work her way inside. Negus again coming in. So tried to land in a big left there and is successful. Didn't hurt Delaney though. Well, did work that time to Delaney. Right up with that class, but I'll left. It's totally. I jumped at that blast and Negus just with the 2 boxers moved away from one another. Negus coming in now with his head looked a little bit dangerous there as he tried to try. Done a super job on that. Delaney crept over here. No, just looking at him now, that had never been a cut there, and it was at one stage looking as though it might be threatened the result of this contest as far as he was concerned. I did finishing well, Delaney now. In this final round, and he's shaken. I think Negus now just for a moment. I think he was shaken just for a moment, Negus. He's still coming forward. It's your time. We are guys. Negus looks very unsteady on his leg there as he ran over to try and catch Delaney there. Your name is unbelievable from left or right. And he's looking tired, Negus, in this final round. Hardly surprising. The 2 big men they've got is in a good rate here. Delaney. Negus coming forward. 40 seconds to go. Winking at somebody outside the ring, Delaney. Coming on to big finish. Over Negus. Turning their hand. In a minute, turning to his head down at Delaney. Negus landed with some good punches for a moment. I thought Delaney was in trouble. Nice going to shoot fight. But Negus, right? This is going to be really difficult. Well, that's a idiot. Having a word with Negus for punching on the break, and he told him to break that. This is going to be an earthly difficult. I wouldn't be surprised if it not go the draw this, It's going to be earthly difficult. Or has Delaney done it up? End of the contest, stop boxing. The 2 hot line of that Delaney. And Delaney has won it. Garry Delaney collapses in the middle of the ring. The jubilation is flying in the middle of that ring, Garry Delaney. As the West Ham stop is turned by Garry Delaney is in tears in the ring. He's so emotional about that victory. He's slumped in the corner. He's trembling into it. Burning all the done to get him onto his feet. But Delaney was in tears of joy as he went down there. And the 2 men, all right, in the division, went back for the speed concert in Rosenberry. It was all about 2 mates who like to try and prove themselves in the game. They put out a tremendous contest and trying to head their way. I know I can punch anyway. I'm the hardest thing cruiserweight out there. And Jerry Nelson's fighting tomorrow, and if he fancies it, then let's get it on. Come on, Johnny.
Well, he certainly enjoyed that fight. The Southern Area Cruiserweight Championship obviously meant a heck of a lot to him, didn't it?
Yeah, it was a good fight. Clash of styles again. I think Negus was just an everything fighter, just wanted to cut down the range and get in close. And for the majority of the fight, then Delaney was trying to keep it long, and he was the better boxer.
What about that jibe there about Johnny Nelson, who's watch me, if you're fighting tomorrow?
Well, I think we're in it to earn money, aren't we? And that's probably the biggest financial payday out there for Garry Delaney. realistically, I don't think he would trouble Johnny Nelson, but he'd earn a few quid.
Well, he had some big hits. I mean, we saw it in round 7, and we can see some shots of him there. I mean, he was on top at this stage.
Yeah, that was, you know, a right uppercut and then a right over the top, a good left hook. I think, as I say, Negus was always pushing the fight, always trying to get in close. And Delaney, yeah, again, he was scoring him well.
How about that?
And then later on in the fight, I think it was in round 10, it did sort of swing both ways, didn't it? And
yeah, I mean, Negus, exciting fighter in a way, because he's always pushing the fight. Bit of a crowd pleaser, so he was always in there with a chance, and there, literally the last round, he turns it on and he catches Delaney with a couple of big heavy punches.
I don't know about pleasing the crowd, but Delaney certainly pleased his girlfriend. I think we can see the shots now of him proposing to his girlfriend in the ring.
Yeah, nice touch. I wouldn't say too much because he's a big lad, Garry, and you never know, he might still do on you.
You said that he was in for a 30-year fight or something, didn't you say that?
Well, do you ever meant to say that? Actually, no.
But, you know, will any of those guys ever fight the top end of the cruiserweights, you think?
I don't think so, myself, personally. As I say, obviously, we're all in it to earn a few quid, and there's big fights out there. And I think Garry Delaney could probably go on and challenge. I mean, it's a tough division. You've got Carl Thompson, the British and the European champion, and then Johnny Nelson. They're two excellent fighters, two of the best cruiserweights in the world, so they've got it tough. Delaney's got it tougher.
He's very happy to have that Southern area belt, though, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, it means a lot to him. And that was British boxing. That was great for British boxing, you know, showing that there's something there for the area titles. That was great.